Chapter 1317. Continue. The middle-aged man walked out of the blue light. He didn't even look at Wang Lin, only at Xianxia who Wang Lin was holding. His gaze revealed affection and heartache. The moment his voice appeared, Wang Lin's mind trembled, and he immediately looked up. He instantly saw the middle-aged man in blue, and a roar echoed in his mind. This man looked very similar to Xianxia. It was obvious at the glance that they were relatives. Tao Master Blue Dream. Wang Lin looked at the middle-aged man. He recognized his voice. This voice had almost brought him death. He would never forget this voice. This was unfathomable. No one would think that their short meeting a little more than 10 years ago in the seven-colored realm would result in them meeting again in person. The middle-aged man looked at Xianxia, and his heartache became even stronger. He waved his sleeve and a storm shot toward Wang Lin. He moved at an incredible speed and instantly closed in on Wang Lin. A powerful force surrounded Wang Lin and shrouded Xianxia. Xianxia's softy flew into the middle-aged man's arms. The man held Xianxia, and there was affection under the heartache in his eyes. He turned around and walked into the distance, holding Xianxia. The blue light gathered toward him until he disappeared. From beginning to end, he never looked at Wang Lin once. When Wang Lin was hit by the storm, he retreated a few steps before he stopped himself. With a complicated expression, he looked at where Tao Master Blue Dream disappeared to, and became silent. He was almost certain that there was kinship between Tao Master Blue Dream and Xianxia. Since Tao Master Blue Dream had taken her away, he naturally had a way of reviving her. His previous plan was to leave the Blue Silk clan and this star domain. After pondering a bit, Wang Lin chose not to leave. He wanted to make sure that Xianxia would really awaken. While pondering, Wang Lin turned into a ray of light and flew straight ahead. He gradually entered the depths of the Blue Silk clan. He didn't need to spread out his divine sense, as he could clearly see a cultivation planet emitting a strong blue light among the endless stars. That was where Tao Master Blue Dream was located. This cultivation planet was covered in blue light. Even the inside of the cultivation seemed to be covered in a blue light that permeated the ocean. Wang Lin moved forward and entered the cultivation planet. There was no protection formation, so Wang Lin floated in the air on the cultivation planet. The sounds of the waves of the ocean below him slowly entered his ears. There were some ships on the ocean, and music blew with the wind into Wang Lin's ears. The music was filled with joy. After a long time, Wang Lin took a step into the void and disappeared without a trace. When he reappeared, he was below a blue mountain. Mountains surrounded the area, and trees were everywhere. However, when standing before the blue mountain, you would feel like you were very small. The mountain was not blue on its own, but there was endless blue light coming from inside the mountain that made it look like a blue mountain. Looking at this blue mountain, Wang Lin revealed a complicated gaze. After a long time, he let out a sigh and rushed forward toward the blue mountain. However, when he got close, his expression changed, and he stopped mid-air. He was less than 10,000 feet from the blue mountain. The moment the blue light entered his body, it turned into endless resistance force that stopped all from approaching. What a powerful restriction. Wang Lin stared at the blue mountain. With his understanding of restrictions, he naturally saw at a glance that this was not caused by a person, but by the light from the blue mountain. After silently pondering for a long time, Wang Lin's eyes lit up. Origin energy filled his body along with ancient god power. He moved like a meteor and entered the blue light. As he rushed in, the resistance became even stronger. In the end, it was like an iron wall, and thunderous rumbles echoed around Wang Lin. When his feet stood below the blue mountain, the resistance force felt like the heavens crushing down on him, and popping sounds echoed from inside his body. However, none of this was able to stop Wang Lin. He raised his head and looked at the blue mountain peak covered in clouds. His eyes were filled with determination as he began walking up the mountain. This blue mountain towered into the clouds with no end in sight. However, there were winding stairs that led to the top. Wang Lin walked step by step toward the top. He was extremely fast and didn't stop at all. As he walked, he used all his origin energy to resist the force pushing him back. He roared as he finished 30% of the stars instantly. However, at this moment, the resistance force from the mountain became earth-shattering. It was like a cultivation planet pressing down, preventing Wang Lin from moving forward. Every step he took, he had to bear endless pressure. What was even more shocking was that as he moved up, the resistance multiplied. Time slowly passed. Li Qianmei was sitting inside the ordinary house on top of the mountain with her eyes closed and her body giving off a blue light. Her father, Tao Master Blue Dream, was sitting behind her. His hands formed seals and occasionally pointed at the air. Every time he pointed, Li Qianmei's body would tremble. Black gas would come out of her orifices and disappear from the room. Waves of flute music echoed outside the house. It was the woman in pink sitting outside the blue house. She held up the flute and gently played. The music was filled with a complicated mood that echoed through the world, the house, and the mountain Wang Lin was climbing. When the music of the flute entered Wang Lin's ears, he had finished nearly 50% of the steps. He looked very tired and his eyes were bloodshot. The resisting force from the mountain was indescribable. It was as if several cultivation planets were pressing down on him. Every step he took was extremely difficult. Ancient god power moved through his body along with his origin energy, and a powerful force erupted from his body. His eyes shined as he lifted his feet and began walking once more. Popping sounds echoed inside his body and large amounts of sweat flowed down. There was the faint color of blood inside his sweat. It was due to his blood rapidly flowing inside his body and being pushed out by the pressure. His origin energy eventually reached a limit. As he breathed, large amounts of origin energy rushed into his body. As time passed, his ancient god power also reached its peak. These two energies supported him as he got closer and closer to the mountaintop. In 3 days, Wang Lin had climbed nearly 80% of the steps. At this moment, he looked up and could see the ends of the steps. However, he was extremely tired, and his body was like a drum being beaten as the endless pressure weighed upon him. His body couldn't help but tremble. For an instant, he seemed to faintly return back to before he started cultivating, and he was going through the exam at the Hangyu sect. The magnificent, resisting force was like the whole world trying to crush him. What was even more terrifying was that as he climbed up, not only was resisting force coming from above, but there was a resisting force pushing from below as well. He had to divide part of the force to stand still. Otherwise, if he relaxed, he would be blown far away. Under these two resisting forces, Wang Lin's face was pale and sweat soaked his clothes. However, his expression was filled with determination. He would reach the top and see if Li Qianmei had indeed awakened. After he saw her, he would leave, but before he saw her, even if the sky fell and the earth shattered, no force could stop him. I brought Li Qianmei here, so I must see it to the end. Wang Lin clenched his teeth, the taste of blood appearing in his mouth. He raised his foot and walked toward the mountaintop once more. As he got closer, the pressure became even more unimaginable. After coughing out blood several times and when all his blood vessels were about to burst, Wang Lin had climbed 90% of the steps. At the top of the mountain, inside the house, Tao Master Blue Dream opened his eyes. The last bit of black gas came out of Li Qianmei, then she was surrounded by a blue light. Her withered face rapidly recovered and her eyelashes trembled as she slowly opened her eyes. The door to the house was pushed open, and the woman in pink walked in. Her gaze swept past Li Qianmei, and she entered a trance for a moment. After a long time, she softly said, "He is about to reach this place, should we?" Tao Master Blue Dream lowered his head and looked at the zither. He touched it and softly said, "You heir, you go tell him your name." Li Qianmei nodded and gently stood up. There was a hint of confusion as she walked out of the house. She saw the sun rise, and the confusion in her eyes became even stronger. Under the endless resistance, Wang Lin took the last step and set foot on the mountaintop. He stood at the top of the mountain. Here, the resisting force suddenly surged, turning into a silent roar. It pushed on him like crazy, but his body remained motionless. The moment he reached the top, he saw Li Qianmei. He saw the woman staring at the sunrise. Her clothes fluttered with the wind, making her seem like a celestial. The woman also turned her head at this moment and looked at Wang Lin. Their gazes met at this moment. Wang Lin revealed a smile. Li Qianmei had awakened. Father told me to tell you my name. My name is Blue Moon. Who are you? Wang Lin was startled for a moment, and then looked at Li Qianmei's eyes. After a long time, he revealed a hint of bitterness and softly said, "My name is Wang Lin." With that, he stopped resisting the force, and at that moment, he was thrown far into the distance. The distance between him and the woman at the top of the mountain was quickly pulled far apart. Even their gazes were gradually being blocked by distance until they couldn't clearly see each other. "It's better we forget each other," That's fine as well, Wang Lin was in a complicated mood that was impossible to comprehend. As he was being thrown, he turned around and walked into the distance. The confusion in Blue Moon's eyes became even stronger. She faintly felt pain in her heart, and there was a feeling of suffocation. Everything before her seemed to become like water. She was under that water and looked at a bird that was flying further and further away. Blue Moon didn't look back and softly whispered, "Father, why do I feel like he is very familiar, as if he were a part of my memory, very important, very important. The greatest distance in the world. Isn't he the end of the world, or yin and yang? But being forgotten, a wrong relationship occurred at the wrong place at the wrong time. It was all wrong from the start. If you two can start again after forgetting each other, then Father won't stop you. Even if he is selected by the ancient celestial realm, Father would dare to fight them for you." Instead of answering Li Qianmei's words, Tao Master Blue Dream closed his eyes and touched the zither. "The greatest distance is being forgotten, Meng Er. When will you remember me?" Wishing for the like button for the VIDEO, hoping to charge through the trending charts for the VIDEO this month. Chapter 1318. The Woman White. His heart was filled sadness. This sadness was very, very light, but it lingered in his mind. Wang Lin let out a sigh as he went further and further from the blue mountain until it looked blurry. It was as if everything before was a dream, and now he had awakened from the dream. He had brought Li Qianmei here, and now he was leaving alone. Wang Lin knew that he was very familiar with this lonely feeling, but he couldn't help but feel melancholy. After almost 2,000 years of cultivation, he had seen many things in this world. He had learned to live in solitude and devour that loneliness and that blue melancholy. Forget it, Wang Lin turned around and looked at the blurry blue mountain. He vaguely saw a figure on the mountaintop before turning around and slowly walking into the distance. The figure of his back looked somewhat bleak as he gradually went farther away. The star domain of the Blue Silk clan was vast. Wang Lin walked through the stars and slowly made his way into the distance. He didn't know why, but he felt exhausted in his heart. This exhaustion came from his mind, from that faint feeling of sadness. He slowly walked the path he came from and arrived at the edge of the Blue Silk clan. Soon, he would leave the Blue Silk clan. His body reappeared from teleportation and was about to leave the Blue Silk clan. However, at this moment, he suddenly stopped and his eyes glowed like torches as he stared ahead. The starry sky before him was bright and quiet. It was beautiful but gave off a strange feeling. However, Wang Lin could feel shock when he arrived here. He was not unfamiliar with this feeling. In his 2,000 years of cultivation, he had encountered it many times, and every time, it meant a life and death crisis. The last time he felt it was just before Taoist water arrived. Wang Lin's expression became serious. This was the first time he had experienced this feeling since he got the ancient star system. Even when Tuo Sen appeared, he didn't feel this shocked. While looking at the calm space before him, Wang Lin gradually closed his eyes. His divine sense extended outward and found nothing. Wang Lin frowned as he opened his eyes. It was still empty before him, but that shocking feeling was even more shocking. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he closed them once more. Deep within his pupils, blue flames burned, and there was thunder around the edges of the flames. The yin and yang symbol of life and death appeared around the flame and thunder. The rotation of the yin and yang symbol formed karma, and then flickering of true and false appeared. 5 essences appeared deep within Wang Lin's pupils. As they rotated rapidly, Wang Lin suddenly opened his eyes and looked ahead. His gaze could break through all obstacles in the world and allow him to see the source of all things. This gaze was infinitely close to the Dao gaze spell Wang Lin had accidentally used in the Al-Heaven star system. However, the moment his eyes opened, his pupils shrank. All the hair on his body stood up and the origin energy in his body cycled like crazy, causing his eyes to glow like lightning. Not far away from him, he saw a woman in white. The woman in white floated among the stars like a ghost. There was no sign of life or existence within her at all. Even divine sense couldn't find her. Her long black hair was draped over her shoulder, and there was a light shrouding her, making it impossible to see her appearance. It was as if a mysterious force was surrounding her so that all gazes would pierce through this woman. Wang Lin's mind became focused as he stared straight ahead. The woman silently stood there and silently looked at Wang Lin. A strange silence appeared before the two of them. She didn't speak, and Wang Lin didn't open his mouth. He normally wouldn't be able to see this woman, But the 5 essences in his eyes had allowed him to break open the heavens and see the strange woman that had followed him here. The first impression this woman gave him was a great shock. A great sense of crisis suddenly erupted from his soul. She isn't a human. For some reason, this thought suddenly arose in Wang Lin's mind. After a long period of silence, Wang Lin slowly retreated. He moved very slowly with his eyes narrowed. His right hand was casually placed on his side, and there was a faint sign of the blood sword. The woman didn't move at all and only silently looked at Wang Lin until he disappeared into the distance. After a long time, the woman softly muttered, "He could see me." As Wang Lin continued to retreat, he moved away from the woman. The shocking feeling weakened, but was still present. Wang Lin's expression became gloomy. He didn't know why, but he recalled the bright light coming from Tuosen's star, and Tuosen's change in expression just before he quickly escaped. Wang Lin felt like there was a vague connection. While silently pondering, Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he moved to the closest blue silk clan planet. This planet was also emitting a blue glow, and oceans covered most of the planet. Wang Lin turned into a ray of light and arrived at the peak of a mountain. The cold mountain wind blew and Wang Lin's clothes fluttered. He looked at the sky as his 5 essences gathered in his eyes. After making sure the woman was not around, he sat down. What is this person's objective? Frowning, Wang Lin simply closed his eyes and began to cultivate. However, the essence in his eyes didn't dissipate, and he was extremely vigilant. Time gradually passed. In the blink of an eye, 7 days went by. During these 7 days, Wang Lin didn't move at all, and the woman in white didn't appear. After 7 days, Wang Lin opened his eyes, and his eyes lit up. His mind was calm, but the figure of that woman took room in his heart, creating worry for him. This person didn't think that I would see her before leaving the Blue Silk Clan. She was standing just outside the Blue Silk Clan star domain. The Blue Silk Clan has Tao Master Blue Dream, whose cultivation is incalculable. Perhaps this is the reason she didn't enter the Blue Silk Clan's domain. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. During these 7 days of cultivation, he carefully recalled what had happened since he entered the ancient star system. He gradually realized that this shocking feeling was already faintly present when he encountered Tuosen. At that time, he thought it was just because he had encountered Tuosen. However, after calmly analyzing it, he noticed that something was off. That shocking feeling wasn't due to Tuosen. Even when he brought Li Qiamei toward the Blue Silk Clan, that feeling was still there. It was just very faint, to the point where it was almost undetectable. At that time, he was worried about Li Qiamei, so he had ignored this abnormality that was already difficult to detect. At this moment, he calmed down and recalled these past several days. Under his careful observation, he finally noticed something. This person has followed me for many days before I entered the Blue Silk Clan and then stopped following. Wang Lin's expression was gloomy. He had cultivated for a long time, and this kind of thing was rare. He had been followed by someone the whole way and hadn't noticed it at all. This is not right. Wang Lin's expression revealed suspicion as he remembered something. Even though I have 5 essences that allow me to see that person, without that shocking feeling, I wouldn't have wasted the little essence I have. That person has followed me all this way, but I barely ever felt anything. Why did that feeling suddenly become noticeable when I was about to leave the Blue Silk Clan? Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. As he pondered, his origin energy cycled through his body. Then his ancient god power cycled through his body, and his eyes became brighter. There is a bit more origin energy than before. Even though my ancient god power didn't increase, it seems more dense. It feels as if it has been compressed a bit in particular. My origin soul and soul seem to be different. After experiencing something, they have become more sensitive. Wang Lin looked into the distance. His gaze penetrated the boundless space and landed on the planet Tao Master Blue Dream was on, and the blue mountain on it. He vaguely guessed the answer, and revealed a complicated expression. Under the endless resisting force he had faced during the days he spent climbing, his body had undergone a dramatic change. Although his cultivation level hadn't increased, the climb had made his senses much sharper. This allowed him to clearly sense that shocking feeling. Tao Master Blue Dream, if all of this was his intention, then my earlier guess is correct. The woman in white was worried about Tao Master Blue Dream, and that's why she didn't enter the Blue Silk Clan. Tao Master Blue Dream used this method to secretly tell me that there is danger in leaving the Blue Silk Clan. Wang Lin's mind was like that of a devil. He only needed a clue and he could be able to deduce the answer like breaking a restriction. This woman's background must be great if even Tao Master Blue Dream wouldn't dare to tell me directly and would instead resort to giving me hints. If this is all true, then who the hell is this woman in white? If Tao Master Blue Dream calculated all of this, he must know I would choose to stay in the Blue Silk Clan. Wang Lin's expression became solemn, and he looked silently at the sky. He simply gave up the idea of immediately leaving. He simply sat down on a mountain and began to cultivate. The fatigue that had been gathering over the years began to be released. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, Wang Lin had cultivated for a month on this planet. Origin energy continued to gather in his body. The injuries he had suffered while climbing the Blue Mountain had recovered. His cultivation had recovered to its peak, while calmly cultivating on this mountain peak. On this day, endless blue light appeared in the sky above the mountain Wang Lin was on. This blue light was gentle and shrouded the entire world. A vague figure walked out and gradually condensed. Wang Lin opened his eyes and calmly looked at the middle-aged man that had walked out of the blue light. Tao Master Blue Dream, I have 9 great spells. Are you willing to learn? The video schedule for first is up, and I ask all friends not to be stingy. Remember to share Leo. If you're capable, friends, please be prepared to support Leo with a like. Chapter 1319. Choice. Wang Lin's eyes shined brightly as he looked at Tao Master Blue Dream. Tao Master Blue Dream floated in the air, and with one step, he arrived at the top of the mountain. His hands were behind his back as he looked at the blue light behind him while waiting for Wang Lin's replay. The mountain wind caused his blue hair to flow in the wind, and his body gave off a gentle pressure. As he stood at the top of the mountain seemed to disappear. As he stood on this cultivation planet, the cultivation planet seemed to disappear. As he stood in this world, even the world seemed to bow down. Everything lowered their heads before Tao Master Blue Dream. When he stood among the stars, all the starlight had to avoid him. Wherever he was the mountain, the sky, and the stars. Most of my spells are self-created. There are 9 spells, 6 celestial spells, 3 Tao spells, and 1 life and death spell. I can pass them all to you. Are you willing to learn? Wang Lin remained silent. I have the Joss flames of more than 200 billion disciples and my comprehension of the void realm. Do you want them? Wang Lin's breathing became a bit rough as he looked at Tao Master Blue Dream, but he still didn't speak. I also have 5 Tao treasures refined by outer world meteorites. Even the sovereign fears them. With 5 Tao treasure, the world would be torn apart. Do you want them? Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and his breathing became even heavier. I also have a 3rd step Tao inheritance that I haven't passed on to anyone. Do you want it? I can also take you on a trip through the ancient star system and get Tao spirits from the other 4 masters so you can obtain the most powerful spells. I can break the void for you and take you to the legendary Ancient Order Cemetery. That will help you absorb the ancient souls and let your ancient god body reach completion. There are 5 essences in your body and you have amazing talent. I have never heard of anyone who can create 5 essences. I can help each of your essences reach completion, and when you inherit my Tao, you will have 7 essences. Tao Master Blue Dream's voice was calm. His gaze fell on Wang Lin, and he slowly said, Do you want all of this? Wang Lin's eyes were bloodshot as he stared at Tao Master Blue Dream. The message being conveyed in these words was heaven-shattering. How could Wang Lin not be tempted? He was extremely tempted. You must have become aware of the danger outside the Blue Silk clan. That woman has a powerful backing. But if you become my inheritor, I'll carry all the danger for you. Think about it. Conditions. Wang Lin's voice was hoarse. Tao Master Blue Dream's words were like thunder in his mind. Tao Master Blue Dream's expression remained neutral as he met Wang Lin's gaze, and gently said, The conditions are very simple. There are only 2. From now on, you will no longer be a person from the inner realm, but a member of my ancient star system, the Blue Silk Clan's young master. Take the heart forgetting fruit and set an essence oath to leave the inner realm behind. Your body, your heart, your everything will no longer be connected to the inner realm. You cannot participate in the battle between the inner and outer realms, and you can help the inner realm ever again. Tao Master Blue Dream's words were like knives that charged into Wang Lin's body and caused his body to tremble. 2. I don't care what relationships you have in the inner realm. All of it will be cut off. I only have one daughter. You and her can become a cultivation pair, and you may only have her. Wang Lin closed his eyes. Tao Master Blue Dream's temptation was the greatest one he had faced in his life. If the conditions were changed, Wang Lin would be been very tempted, and he would be very likely accepted it. However, how could he agree to Tao Master Blue Dream's 2 conditions? He was a member of the inner realm. He was born in the inner realm and had grown up in the inner realm. If the inner realm was a country, then he would be a traitor if he agreed. The words of the celestials that died to the sealed realm formation echoed in his ears. The sacrifice of the Lord of the sealed realm echoed in his mind. He couldn't accept the first condition, let alone the second condition. Giving up Li Muan was like giving up his Tao, his pursuit in life, and his promise. He must not accept this. He opened his eyes. Wang Lin's eyes were bloodshot as he said, I don't want to learn. There was a flash of coldness in Tao Master Blue Dream's eyes as he stared at Wang Lin. What Wang Lin didn't know was that many years ago, Qing Lin had also faced this great temptation. Except Qing Lin was tempted by the sovereign, while Wang Lin was facing Tao Master Blue Dream. Wang Lin lowered his head and softly said, Senior's cultivation is indeed powerful, but Junior wants to ask if Senior has someone more important than yourself. Tao Master Blue Dream pondered for a moment, and then slowly said, There is. If Senior was me and you had to give up that important person for a power, would Senior agree? Wang Lin raised his head and looked at Tao Master Blue Dream. In addition, if Senior had to give up the entire Blue Silk clan, would Senior agree? Tao Master Blue Dream didn't answer this question. Instead, after silently pondering for a bit, he silently said, The third step of cultivation is called the 4 Void Realms. The first is Nirvana Void. Spirit Void is considered the threshold. Arcana Void is considered the Grand Tao, and Void Turbulent is the peak. Since ancient times, I have only heard of people reaching the peak of Void Turbulent, but never of anyone who was able to successfully reach that legendary 4th step, Heaven Trampling. Even the 8 Imperial Concubines haven't reached that step. Tao Master Blue Dream withdrew his gaze from Wang Lin and slowly spoke as he looked into the distant horizon. I have 2 essences in my body. One of them is at the mid-stage of Arcane Void, and the other essence is currently sealed, but it is infinitely close to the early stage of Void Turbulent. When the 2 fuse, I can display power at the peak of the Arcane Void stage. Do you know how many people like me exist here in the outer realm? Tao Master Blue Dream asked calmly. Not counting the ancient Imperial Concubines, there are at least 7 people. Your inner realm doesn't have Joss flames, and it has been trapped by the sealed realm formation for countless years. The sovereign is also known for his schemes, and he almost caused your inner realm to fall apart. What's the use of you clinging to a lost cause? When Tao Master Blue Dream's words entered Wang Lin's ears, he became silent. After a long time, Wang Lin raised his head and looked at Tao Master Blue Dream. He calmly said, If what Senior says is true, then why hasn't the outer realm begun a war against the inner realm? Why are they relying on slowly withering the forces in the inner realm instead? I fear there is something in the inner realm that Senior and the others are extremely worried about. Tao Master Blue Dream silently pondered for a moment before calmly saying, There is indeed such an existence. Back then, just one roar had the power to force the sovereign to flee in panic. Wang Lin's mind was shaken. It was only a guess, but he didn't expect to hear such a secret from Tao Master Blue Dream. Since you have already made up your mind, I want to force you. You are here, so while I can give you my Tao teaching in Joss Flames, I can teach you 3 spells. How much you understand will depend on yourself. Tao Master Blue Dream let out a sigh. He liked Wang Lin, and everything he had said was true, but there were some things that couldn't be forced. As one of the 5 masters of the ancient star system and a 3rd step cultivator, he had his own pride. He didn't want to force others. Watch carefully, this is my first spell. Tao Master Blue Dream raised his right hand and reached at the sky. The wind roared and clouds churned. The whole sky became filled with endless blue light and a giant vortex appeared. As the vortex rumbled, origin energy gathered from all directions and quickly formed a giant stamp. This stamp made of origin energy. It looked like the stamp of a mortal emperor. When the stamp fell, the heavens and earth trembled. At this instant, the sky became the earth, and the earth became the sky. Heaven and earth were reversed. The mountain Wang Lin was on turned upside down. The earth became the sky and became a giant cone hanging from the sky. However, what was bizarre was that no stones fell, and it was merely just something Wang Lin was feeling. However, his mind was shaking as an indescribable force had filled the world. Below him was a sky filled with blue light. The clouds and sun were all reversed, and only Tao Master Blue Dream was still standing. This spell is called the Heaven Reversal Stamp. What is Heaven Reversal? In my opinion, it is to flip the sky to become the earth. The earth that became the sky will become the strongest stamp. Tao Master Blue Dream waved his right hand, and the earth that had turned into the sky smashed down toward the sky. Wang Lin's mind trembled as he looked at this, and revealed a look of disbelief. He would have never thought that such a spell could exist in the world. This spell was extremely strong, and if used in space, it could slaughter all life. If you want to use it in space, you will need to contain a world in your heart. Tao Master Blue Dream lifted his right hand, and time seemed to reverse. Everything returned back to normal in an instant. The sky was still the sky, and the earth was still the earth. What is the most abundant in space? It's not people, not spirits, not spells, and not origin energy. In my opinion, it is light. The most abundant thing in this world is light. Light is everywhere, and there is no place without light. The Heaven Reversal Stamp is an attack spell, and my second spell is a defensive spell. Look carefully. Tao Master Blue Dream didn't give Wang Lin time to digest before he raised his right hand once more. The moment he raised his right hand, everything in the world gave off endless light. There was even bright light coming from space far away. This endless light instantly arrived, looking heaven-shaking while it surrounded Tao Master Blue Dream. At this moment, he seemed to become the source of all light in the world. Even Wang Lin felt like he couldn't open his eyes due to the pain. A giant shadow appeared around Tao Master Blue Dream. It was as tall as the heavens. Although this spell isn't a Tao spell, it is something I comprehended when I reached the Spirit Void stage. If you can learn this, you will have the ability to protect yourself in the ancient star system. As for the last spell I'll teach you, it is one that I comprehended at the peak of the Spirit Void stage, one of my 3 great spells. The VIDEO has reached first place in the ranking but still can't maintain the top position. Urgently wishing for all friends to push a round of VIDEO, Leo is extremely grateful. Chapter 1320. Fuse. The first spell Tao Master Blue Dream displayed was an extremely powerful offensive spell. The second spell, Light and Shadow Shield, was the peak of defense. When these 2 spells appeared, the world would change colors. Wang Lin hadn't completely comprehended the Heaven Reversal Stamp, and now he was immersed in this Light and Shadow Shield. His mind constantly alternated between these 2 different spells. Look closely. The third spell I'll teach you is Tao Fusion. This is not an attack or defense spell, but a Tao spell that fuses your spell with your essence in a special way. If you can learn this spell, you can fuse all your spells and make them into tens of millions of different ones, or all fused into one. Tao Master Blue Dream's voice was calm. After displaying the Heaven Reversal Stamp and the Light and Shadow Shield, he didn't put down his right hand. Instead, his right hand formed a bizarre seal and he pointed at the void. One of the clouds that had been pushed away quickly flew over and surrounded his fingertip. It turned into a ball of fog and began to rotate rapidly. As it rotated faster and faster, the fog instantly disappeared and turned into white water vapor. The water vapor also rotated and formed a vortex. However, the vortex quickly changed once more. Then it turned into a glittering drop of water above Tao Master Blue Dream's fingertip, and then started rotating even faster. When Wang Lin's eyes observed this, it caused him to gain some enlightenment. Just at this moment, the water changed once more. Crackling sounds echoed and the water turned into ice crystals. The ice crystals quickly linked together, releasing a crackling sound that was no weaker than the sound of thunder. Soon, an ice sword appeared at the tip of his finger. This sword was 7 feet long and 3 inches wide, emitting an endless chill. When the sunlight shined on it, it gave off a colorful glow. From cloud, to fog, to water, and then ice before finally changing into an ice sword. Wang Lin's mind was shaken in a short period of time. feeling as if he had vaguely grasped something. This fog essence has been changed by this Tao spell. Display 2 spells that need to be fused. Tao Master Blue Dream looked at Wang Lin. Wang Lin didn't hesitate to wave his right hand, and black wind howled across the world. 7 black dragons appeared in the world, and blasted out cold air that could extinguish all life. Oh? One of Celestial Emperor Baifan's 6 spells, Call the Wind! Although it is not a Tao spell, if it is cultivated to the peak, it is still quite powerful. Tao Master Blue Dream was astonished. After Call the Wind was finished, Wang Lin didn't pause before his right hand formed a seal, and he pointed at the 7 black dragons. The 7 black dragons let out earth-shattering roar that spread out. As thunderous rumbles echoed, there was a flash of light and raindrops appeared out of nowhere. Baifan summoned the rain. Tao Master Blue Dream frowned. He didn't expect Wang Lin to be able to actually cast these 2 spells. He had heard of the name Baifan before. He was the ruler of the Thunder Celestial Realm, and his spells were extremely difficult to integrate. This child is indeed clever. He must have realized that I wanted to help him fuse 2 spells. So he took out his most powerful spells. Tao Master Blue Dream looked at Wang Lin with a smile that wasn't a smile, and his right hand reached at the void. The 7 black dragons suddenly trembled and swirled around each other to form a giant vortex. The vortex absorbed all the raindrops within it. The thunderous rumbles continued to echo. The vortex became larger and larger until it seemed to replace the sky. With my understanding, the purpose of Baifan's Call the Wind and Summon the Rain was to cover the sky with Call the Wind and cover the earth with Summon the Rain. Cover the sky and the earth to form a world. The fusion of these 2 spells should be comparable to the protection of the light and shadow shield. Tao Master Blue Dream waved his right hand and the giant vortex in the sky roared even louder. Then it suddenly began to expand. The sky was covered by the wind, and the earth was submerged by rain. There was not trace of light, and the earth was not visible at all. There wasn't even any origin energy. It was as if it had been separated from space and formed its own world. This world could be large or small. It could be as big as the universe or as small as yourself, making it a powerful form of protection. As Tao Master Blue Dream waved his right hand, the world trembled and returned back to normal. There was a small black vortex sphere floating next to the ice sword. Whether you can comprehend the 3 spells will depend on your own fortune. Tao Master Blue Dream took a step forward and turned into blue light. Only his parting words that were like him talking to himself echoed after he disappeared. If she can recover her memory, forget the Blue Silk clan. Even if I become a traitor to the ancient star system, so what? His words were filled with determination, revealing his character and answering Wang Lin's previous question. The surroundings were silent and the world was peaceful. It was as if everything that had happened were merely an illusion, just a memory. Wang Lin didn't notice Tao Master Blue Dream's departure, as his eyes were staring at the ice sword and the black vortex sphere. His mind was immersed in what had just happened. The 3 spells Tao Master Blue Dream had displayed rapidly flashed in his mind as he quickly verified and comprehended them. Time passed. 3 days, 7 days, half a month. Unknowingly, 1 month had passed. After 1 month, Wang Lin still sat there motionlessly. His eyes were bloodshot and were filled with confusion. There were huge waves inside his mind, echoing like thunderous rumbles. Wang Lin had been comprehending these 3 great spells. However, these spells contained the world. Even with Tao Master Blue Dream's personal demonstration and explanation, they would be difficult to learn. Heaven reversal stamped to make the sky the earth. Wang Lin closed his eyes as if he was sleeping, but his mind was working like crazy, as if he was deducing a restriction to deduce the changes that occurred in this spell. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months passed. Wang Lin had been sitting on top of the mountain for 4 months. More than 100 nights and days had passed, and it was now the rainy season. The sky was no longer blue but filled with dark clouds. The sky was foggy and rain fell down. The mist made the world look even more hazy. Wang Lin sat there, allowing the rain to hit his body, but he didn't notice anything. Although his eyes were closed, his fatigue had created 2 lines of blood that flowed out like tears and were washed away by the rain. The deduction inside his mind had also reached a peak, making him feel as if he was going to go crazy. On this day, it was nighttime, and the rain continued to fall. Lightning sometimes flashed across the sky and lit up the earth. Wang Lin's clothes had long been soaked and his body was trembling. It felt as if the mountain was trembling with him. He suddenly opened his eyes. The moment he opened them, lightning flashed across the sky. While illuminating the earth, it also revealed Wang Lin's eyes to the world. His eyes were completely bloodshot, but deep within his pupils was the reflection of the world. The sky, the lightning, the earth, and all the rain were within his pupils. What was even more strange was that it was all slowly turning. The turning was barely noticeable, but they continued to turn. The earth in his pupils was tilted and was about to completely flip upside down. As the world rotated, Wang Lin's bloodshot eyes stared at the world before him. Under his gaze, this world filled with rain began to twist. It was as if the world outside was syncing up with the world in his eyes, and it began to tilt. Thunder rumbled in the sky, and the rain became even more dense. It was as if the clouds had noticed the danger and wanted to release all the rain quickly. However, as the world inside Wang Lin's pupils slowly turned, the rain inside his pupils paused for a moment. The moment the rain paused, the rain in the real world also stopped. At this instant, Wang Lin's eyes shined brightly. He raised his right hand and pressed toward the sky as he said with a hoarse voice, "Heaven reversal!" The moment he spoke, the world roared. The world inside Wang Lin's eyes flipped, and the sky became the earth and the earth became the sky. The rain that fell from the sky fell backwards and collapsed. This was what was happening in the world inside his pupils. This was reflected in the real world he was looking at as well. The sky filled with thunder suddenly turned into earth and everything reversed. The rain collapsed, the clouds disintegrated, and the thunder scattered. The earth that replaced the sky rumbled loudly. As Wang Lin lowered his hand, the earth quickly pressed down. If someone looked up at the earth that had replaced the sky, they would see the upside-down ocean, the mortal capitals, and the mortals walking in the rain. They would see the small beasts inside the dense forest and the python galloping through the water. But they seemed to not notice any of this. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He could clearly feel that once this heaven reversal stamp crushed down, it would contain the power to destroy the world. It was several times stronger than all his other spells. He waved his right hand. The earth didn't crush down but instantly returned to normal. The sky was still the sky and the earth was still the earth. This isn't the only way to use the heaven reversal stamp. If you treat a person as the world, then their flesh, blood, and skin are the sky, and their internal organs are the earth. Reverse those and the lethality of this spell will increase greatly. Wang Lin silently pondered for a moment and suppressed the joy of comprehending this spell. He closed his eyes and began comprehending the second spell. When Wang Lin used the heaven reversal stamp on Mount Blue, Tao Master Blue Dream's hand on the zither paused for a moment. A person with 5 essences is indeed shocking. He was able to learn the heaven reversal stamp in just 4 months. I thought he would need several years. Urgently wishing for all friends to push a round of VIDEO, Leo is extremely grateful. Chapter 1321. The barrier to the third step. A majority of the cultivation planets in the Blue Silk Clan had a rainy season where the rain would constantly fall. Sometimes it poured from the sky and moistened the earth. These rainy seasons would often last for half a year, and then different seasons would follow, depending on the cultivation planet. The planet Wang Lin was comprehending on turned to winter after 7 months of rain. This winter after the rainy season was very moving. The earth was completely moist, and then was instantly frozen by the snow. Walking on top of the frozen earth made you feel the coldness of the earth through your feet. Even your blood seemed to slow down and freeze. For mortals, this kind of season would be terrible, but the mortals of the Blue Silk Clan had gotten used to this. With the help of the Blue Silk Clan cultivators, after many years, it wasn't much of a hardship anymore. Even some food was harvested in this cold. The colder it was, the better the harvest would be. The snowflakes floated down the air and covered thousands of miles of land. It was very beautiful. The peak Wang Lin was on was also covered in snow. It was now a snowy mountain. However, the few black rocks that weren't yet covered showed what the mountain originally looked like as it waited for the winter to pass. The snow on the top of the mountain was very dense, and it was completely smooth without a single footprint. Wang Lin was still sitting there with his eyes closed and was covered in snow. The ice sword and the vortex sphere were still floating in the air. The snow couldn't get close, so it would move around them. After comprehending the heaven reversal stamp, Wang Lin stayed on top of the mountain for 4 more months. The second spell, Light and Shadow Shield, contained the power of light and was ethereal. Wang Lin continued to try to deduce it, but couldn't T find any clues. The scene of Tao Master Blue Dream using this spell replayed over and over in his mind. On this day, Wang Lin opened his tired eyes and stared at the snow that had gathered before him. He muttered, "There is also light in my sundered night and the law of origin. Except that light comes from the rising sun, and Tao Master Blue Dream's light has nothing to do with the law of origin. His light is gathered from all living things. What exactly is that light?" Wang Lin spread out his divine sense as he pondered. His divine sense spread out with the mountain as the center. With his powerful divine sense, he seemed to split off into millions of different directions. He saw white mountains, the snow gathered on the earth, the frozen rivers and the glaciers floating on the sea. He saw mortal capitals and some mortals inside a house. They were around a fire, and he saw their warm life. He saw the beautiful foods of the rich royal families. He saw the cultivators of the Blue Silk clan and the beautiful music they played. He saw the snow that fell from the sky, the rare fishes under the frozen river, and the rare vegetation that grew on the frozen earth. He saw the endless starry sky through the hazy sky, the cold wind, and the glistening snow. He saw some trembling little beasts and the frozen corpses buried under the snow. He recorded everything as his mind gradually spread across the entire planet. He silently watched, silently observed, and silently became a part of the world until the winter slowly passed and the snow began to melt. After an unknown amount of time, Wang Lin saw light. While watching a mortal family of 3, he saw a very warm light. This light was very weak, as if it would extinguish with a mere breath of the wind. But it was real. Slowly, he saw more light. He then saw light from 2 lovers, and he saw light from the body of a rich person. He even saw light coming from a dead skeleton. This light was filled with sadness, reluctance, and struggle. He also saw light from the little beasts. All life gave off this light. The mountains, rivers, seas, earth, sky, everything gave off this faint light. He was even able to faintly see this life from space. In his mind, everything on this cultivation planet contained this light. This light gradually spread like a spark in a prairie, filling Wang Lin's mind. He opened his eyes. The moment his eyes opened, all the light his divine sense saw gathered like crazy toward his body. The sky and earth emitted this light. The vegetation, mountains, and rivers shined nonstop. There were even starlight coming from space, and even the mountain Wang Lin was sitting on released light. This light came from all directions until Wang Lin was like a scorching sun. A giant shadow was formed by this light. This light and shadow were outside, and Wang Lin was inside. There was enlightenment in his eyes, but they still contained a hint of confusion. Is it vitality? He lifted his hand and silently waved. The light and shadow disappeared, and everything returned to normal. He still hadn't completely comprehended what this light was. It was as if there was a barrier preventing him from understanding what it was. If he couldn't break through this barrier, he would never be enlightened as to what it was. Wang Lin didn't know that this barrier was the door to the 3rd step. Very few people could feel this barrier, and even fewer were able to break through it in their lifetime. The 3 spells Tao Master Blue Dream had taught Wang Lin had their own profound meaning. When the light and shadow disappeared, Wang Lin's gaze fell on the ice and vortex ball that hadn't changed since Tao Master Blue Dream had left. Looking at these 2 items, Wang Lin let out a big breath. Of the 3 spells, this Tao spell was the only one left. His right hand reached out and the vortex ball flew into his hand. His eyes lit up and began observing it. This vortex ball was formed by Tao Master Blue Dream with the Tao spell. It combined Call the Wind and Summon the Rain into a more powerful spell that contained its own world. This fusion was the power of the Tao spell Tao Master Blue Dream wished to pass on to Wang Lin. As he carefully observed the small sphere between his fingers, the 5 essences gradually appeared in Wang Lin's eyes. The essences started rotating. Then invisible gas came out of the sphere and entered Wang Lin's eyes. The sphere got smaller and smaller, and a few days later, the sphere completely dissipated. Wang Lin closed his eyes and began to comprehend. Tao's spells were very different from spells. Whether it was normal spells or abilities, they could be clearly explained, be it attack or defense, and their effects could be observed. Like the heaven reversal stamp and light and shadow shield, they could all be seen. Tao spells were invisible and impossible to explain. Wang Lin had been exposed to a Tao spell for the first time in the 7-colored realm when he faced the old man. and he wasn't able to resist it at all. If not for the G realm and the heaven-defying bead, Wang Lin wouldn't have been able to resist. The second time he came into contact with a Dao spell was when he entered the Dao realm with the help of the Lord of the Sealed Realm. He had comprehended his own Dao spell, but it was difficult to explain this spell. Even though it was not complete, Wang Lin's Dao spell would cause a strange ripple that hurt the enemy without them knowing it. Outside the demon sect, he was able to injure the demon sect elder without that person realizing it. Right now, this was the third time he had come into contact with a Dao spell. His mind was immersed in a strange state in which he felt like he could change any spell into any shape or form. Compared to the two spells from before, this Dao spell didn't take too long for Wang Lin to comprehend. Dao spells were all like this. If you understand it, you understand it. If you don't then even after 1,000 years you won't understand it. With his eyes closed, Wang Lin's right hand reached out and the ice sword flew into his grasp. Although his eyes were closed, he could feel that what he was holding wasn't a sword, but clouds. As he comprehended it, cracking sounds echoed, and large amounts of cracks appeared on its surface. A moment later, it shattered into ice crystals. The ice crystals circled around Wang Lin's right hand, and then melted into drops of rain. Then the rain formed a vortex and rapidly rotated before turning into fog. The fog was like a small storm inside Wang Lin's right hand, and then it gradually disappeared. In its place there was a white cloud. Wang Lin held the white cloud in his hand and waved. The white cloud slowly ascended into the sky. Wang Lin opened his eyes and looked with a smile at the white cloud that flew into the distance. This spell can fuse spells. The first spell I need to fuse is spatial bending. Although that spell is powerful and enables me to instantly move across the endless space, it has a fatal flaw. Once the origin energy in the world has been disrupted, it can be used. The woman in white is waiting outside the Blue Silk clan. Only by shaking her off completely can I do as I wish in the ancient star system. Then I'll absorb enough Joss flames to complete my 5 essences. The Fire Sparrow clan's fire and the Scatter Thunder clan's thunder will all be great sources of nutrients for me. The marks between the eyebrows of the people of the ancient star system are strange. They seem to be able to devour each other and constantly evolve toward a certain kind of perfection. What I want to know is what clan the scheming sovereign belongs to. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. The origin soul of that white-haired old man from the Moon clan was in his storage space. All the answers could be found there. Embarrassed, I've been remiss in saying thank you. Thank you all for pressing the like button. Thanks to the fellow Taoists for their praise. Chapter 1322. Sudden Change. Time passed. The spring breeze blew across the land. Everything revived as the grass green and the fragrances filled the air. Even the sky was an everlasting blue. Wang Lin awakened from his cultivation several months after he comprehended the fusion. Using the fusion Dao spell, Wang Lin's spatial bending fused with the world and with himself. He had also taken teleportation and the overlapping of space to push spatial bending from one variation to the next. The moment he opened his eyes, clouds moved through his eyes. His eyes also contained the blue sky and the stars themselves. The flaw of the spatial bending was the instability before merging with the world that would cause a change to the origin energy and interrupt the spell. As Wang Lin continued to fuse it, he slowly made up for that flaw. He was using his body as the world to trigger spatial bending to merge with the world. As long as his body remained unchanging, then even if the origin energy outside was distorted, it wouldn't affect his usage of spatial bending. This change in the spell was something Wang Lin prepared especially for himself. He raised his right hand and waved. The space around the mountain began to distort and ripples spread. Even sunlight collapsed when it reached here. If it was in the past, he wouldn't have been able to use spatial bending in this situation. But now Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he took a step forward. In an instant, his figure seemed to turn transparent and disappeared. A moment later, Wang Lin appeared where he disappeared. His eyes revealed joy, and then he sat down once more. He waved his sleeves and the chaotic energy dissipated. Everything returned to normal and the light no longer collapsed. This spell has reached a small completion, but there are still some imperfections. Merging it with my body fixed a few flaws, but now it consumes my own origin energy. I can cast it 12 times or so, but afterward I need to quickly recover my origin energy. Although this is the case, it is still extremely practical. There are very few people who can prevent me from using this spell. Wang Lin muttered to himself as he looked up at the sky. His gaze seemed to penetrate through the sky to outside of the Blue Silk clan. After some time, Wang Lin withdrew his gaze. The stop spell had accompanied him for most of this life, and Baifan's 6 spells had saved him several times. Along with his 2 self-created spells, there were also Tao Master Blue Dream's Heaven Reversal Stamp and Light and Shadow Shield. With the help of Tao Master Blue Dream, Call the Wind and Summon the Rain have been fused into their own world that can attack and defend. But this is just the fusion of 2 spells. If I can fuse Magic Arsenal into it, its power. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and his heart pounded. He raised his right hand and pointed at the sky. Wang Lin's eyes released a strange light, and the vortex formed by the fusion of Call the Wind and Summon the Rain appeared. This vortex sphere wasn't too big, but if any cultivator saw this, they would feel like there was a world within it. The vortex sphere was like a mouth that would begin to devour everything after it appeared. Once it was activated, it would become its own world. Tao Master Blue Dream had helped Wang Lin create this. It was perfect without any flaws and contained great power. Magic Arsenal! Wang Lin opened his mouth and spat out the celestial sealing stamp. A thunderous roar echoed, and Wang Lin waved his sleeves. There was a flash of light and countless battle souls appeared. Waves of mournful roars echoed across the sky. The ferocious battle souls all gave off a fierce aura. Many of these souls were people from the ancient star system. Aside from the hundreds of cultivators outside the sealed realm formation, there was a large number of Moon Clan members, and everyone else Wang Lin had devoured on the way. The ancient star system cultivators all had a mark flashing between their eyebrows. Now that they all appeared as battle souls, it was a shocking scene for anyone to look at. Staring at all the people killed by him over the past 2,000 years, Wang Lin raised his left hand and quickly formed seals that landed on each soul. The celestial sealing stamp began flashing rapidly and began fusing with the vortex sphere. At first, the fusion was fine, but a moment later, a great sense of rejection arose. It was like water and fire and couldn't be fused at all. Wang Lin frowned and spat out a mouthful of origin soul essence. Then his divine sense surrounded the vortex sphere and celestial sealing stamp, forcing them to fuse. With his origin soul essence and divine sense, the rejection between the vortex sphere and celestial sealing stamp was suppressed, and the two began to fuse. Wang Lin continued to stare at the change. Time continued to pass, and the celestial sealing stamp gradually fused with the vortex sphere. Just as Wang Lin started to relax, his expression changed greatly. He didn't hesitate to retreat, and started to wave his hand, forming countless layers of protection. In an instant, the sphere fused with the celestial sealing stamp flashed, giving off a destructive aura. Then it suddenly exploded. The moment it exploded, Wang Lin had already retreated far away. He waved his sleeves and used all his power to suppress the explosion of this vortex. At the same time, he took the collapsing sphere and directly used spatial bending to appear in an area of space near the edge of the Blue Silk clan. The moment he reappeared, the collapse of the vortex sphere couldn't be stopped anymore. It turned into a storm, and its rumble echoed across the entire star domain. The sound waves and shock waves from the explosion blew on Wang Lin's body and formed an unimaginable destructive force. A sense of life and death flooded Wang Lin's mind. He didn't hesitate to wave his hand, causing endless light to gather from all directions. A giant light shadow appeared around Wang Lin's body. The destructive aura arrived and collided with the light shadow around him. Thunderous rumbles echoed, and the impact was heaven-shaking. At this moment, the destructive aura rushed at Wang Lin. However, when it encountered the light shadow around him, the light shadow gave off a powerful glow and unexpectedly reflected the force. The reflection and refraction of light. Due to this reflection force, the destructive force that arrived was redirected into the endless space, out of the Blue Silk clan. Thunderous rumbles continued to echo, and it took 15 minutes before it finally dissipated. The light shadow disappeared, and Wang Lin revealed a wry smile. Before him, the vortex sphere and the celestial sealing stamp had already separated, emitting a ghostly glow. This fusion is a bit too dangerous. Wang Lin smiled even more wry. He didn't expect a forced fusion to create such a shocking impact. If he just give up now, it would be a pity. Wang Lin stared at the vortex sphere with reluctance in his eyes. A moment later, his eyes lit up and he swallowed the celestial sealing stamp. Then his right hand reached out, the vortex sphere flew into his right hand, and with a squeeze it disappeared. At the same time, ghostly light flashed around Wang Lin and surrounded his body. With a thought, the light surged and spread out like crazy with him as the center. In the blink of an eye, it had spread out 10,000 feet. Everything within 10,000 feet seemed to be separated from the outside, as if it was another world. This was, in fact, what happened. Call the wind had formed the sky, and summon the rain had formed the earth to create its own world. There was no origin energy within this 10,000 feet area, only Wang Lin's will. Within these 10,000 feet, he was the lord of this world. Since I can T-fuse it by force, then I'll try a different method. Inside the 10,000 feet world, Wang Lin opened his mouth and the celestial sealing stamp flew out. The moment the celestial sealing stamp came out, there was a powerful rejection force that was unexpectedly as strong as the resisting force from the Blue Mountain. Under this earth-shattering rejection force, popping sounds echoed as if the celestial sealing stamp couldn't withstand it anymore, and an unexpected crack appeared on it. This caused a hint of hesitation in Wang Lin's eyes. Just as he hesitated, even more cracks appeared, and the countless souls inside let out mournful screams as if they were forcing the end of the world. This celestial sealing stamp was composed of a thunder celestial realm fragment and had been refined by divine retribution, so it was almost indestructible. However, under this rejection force, cracks appeared on it, and there were even signs of it collapsing. This shocked Wang Lin greatly. He clearly felt like this rejection force that causing the celestial sealing stamp to collapse wasn't too strong, but there seemed to be some kind of limitation. This limitation prevented the celestial sealing stamp from existing here. Much less fuse. The call the wind and summon the rain world contain my will, and the celestial sealing stamp also contain my will, but the two can T-fuse. I don't believe it. Wang Lin's gaze was firm, and he didn't hesitate to cause the world to shrink. Thunderous rumbles quickly echoed. As the world shrank, even more cracks appeared on the celestial sealing stamp until it collapsed into countless pieces. The countless restrictions inside scattered into this world and unexpectedly became part of the world as the world shrank. What shocked Wang Lin even more was that the countless battle souls of the people he had killed scattered into the countless fragments. Feebly asking, 4,000 words, does that count as a major chapter? Could it be hoping for the like button for the video and the followers too? Chapter 1323, Joss Flame. The 10,000-foot realm shrank into Wang Lin's body, but Wang Lin remained stunned, staring at space. After a long time, he recovered. He had a strange expression on his face, and there was a faint hint of disbelief mixed in. While pondering, his body flickered and he disappeared. He reappeared on the mountain and sat down. He was dumbfounded for a while, and still found what had happened difficult to believe. After 15 minutes, Wang Lin closed his eyes and his mind went into his body. Above his origin soul floated a vortex sphere, and inside it was the rain and wind world. Although the wind and rain world only covered 10,000 feet when it was outside his body, it was boundless inside his body. At this moment, there were many continents floating inside this realm, and they were all formed by the collapsed celestial sealing stamp. There were battle souls on these continents of many sizes. These souls didn't let out mournful cries, they only sat there. Milky white auras came from the tops of their heads and was absorbed by the realm. At the same time, these auras went straight into Wang Lin's mind toward his 5 essences. Wang Lin's 5 essences were like plants in spring as the milky white auras surrounded them, and they give off a strong sense of vitality. This is Wang Lin was still in shock. It was because he recognized this milky white aura that the shock was even more intense. It was as if a bolt of thunder was echoing in his mind. Wang Lin wasn't unfamiliar with this aura. When the ancient demon statue in the demon spirit land was worshipped by 13 of them, this aura was also present. In the Cloud Sea, in the battle against Taoist water, the last spell Taoist water used also contained this aura. The conversation with the Lord of the Sealed Realm and Tao Master Blue Dream all pointed to the key in becoming a third-step cultivator. Joss Flames! Wang Lin didn't understand what Joss Flames were or how they were created. However, when he fused the wind and rain world with the celestial sealing stamp, this scene unfolded, which just confused him more. These battle souls were all the people he had killed. but now they had become disciples that provided him with Joss flames. This was Wang Lin's fortune, the Lord of the Sealed Realm's legacy, and almost non-reproducible mutation. Even Dao Master Blue Dream wouldn't have thought that teaching Wang Lin the fusion Dao spell would create such a change. The celestial sealing stamp was formed by a fragment of the Thunder Celestial Realm. The Thunder Celestial Realm was created countless years ago by the Lord of the Sealed Realm to prevent the realm's sealing formation from absorbing the inner realm's Joss flames so that Joss flames could appear in the inner realm. Although the 4 celestial realms were destroyed, they were the best materials for producing Joss flames. However, if this was it wouldn't be enough, but this fragment had also experienced divine retribution. It was as if heaven itself had refined this fragment into a treasure for Wang Lin. The thing that allowed Joss flames to be born was refined once again by the divine retribution. Wang Lin had inadvertently taken this object to use for magic arsenal. Using his life and death domain, he had created 18 layers of hell that absorbed all the souls of the people he had killed so they couldn't enter the reincarnation cycle. As time went on, the power to create Joss flames from the fragments filled these 18 layers of hell. However, without an opportunity for it to activate, this power would slowly dissipate. Wang Lin would never have found any abnormality, as these battle souls were merely surrounded with the power to create Joss flames and didn't release any. This opportunity came when Dao Master Blue Dream fused Call the Wind and summoned the rain into a world. It was like giving root to a rootless plant. Then Wang Lin attempted to fuse Magic Arsenal and the Wind and Rain world. This allowed this change, this opportunity to appear. Although there were many battle souls and the Joss flames were very weak, far weaker than Taoist Water's 2 billion disciples, but this was real Joss flame. The key to reaching the 3rd step and a Dao treasure that 3rd step cultivators scrambled for. Wang Lin's expression was very strange. He opened his eyes and silently pondered for a bit before throwing it to the back of his mind. After all, there was still the danger of the woman in white outside the Blue Silk clan. Even though he had inadvertently made this treasure, if it didn't help him resolve the crisis from that woman, it was useless. His eyes lit up and his right hand reached forward. A storage space crack appeared and a huge fingerbone flew out. As it floated in the air, it looked like a continent. The ancient god fingerbone was like a cultivation planet. Although this was only half of the original fingerbone, its aura was extremely dense. Wang Lin clearly felt this aura from below it. The ancient aura inside the finger was very strong, to the point of almost becoming corporeal, but it couldn't be absorbed. There was a sliver of will inside that wouldn't allow anyone to devour it. Staring at the half of the fingerbone, Wang Lin's ancient god stars appeared and rotated slowly. He attempted to absorb but still failed in the end. Tuo Sen used an extremely powerful spell to allow his stars to devour the finger. He can even devour 3rd step cultivators to strengthen his stars. However, there is a will inside this ancient god aura, so it would certainly be difficult for him to devour it. However, it doesn't mean I have no way of absorbing it. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he raised his right hand and reached for his storage space once more. There was a flash of light and the Soul Lasher flew out with the Moon Clan white-haired old man's origin soul, arriving before Wang Lin. The white-haired old man's eyes were closed. The crescent moon mark between his eyebrows flashed dimly, resisting the Soul Lasher. Since the Moon Clan possessed the ancient god fingerbone, they must have some method of using it. Wang Lin's gaze fell on the white-haired old man's origin soul. This person's cultivation level was extremely high, almost comparable to that of the Azure Dragon Divine Emperor, almost at the 4th heaven's blight. If Wang Lin had met him long ago, he wouldn't have been his match. However, this person was obviously no match for Tuo Sen's powerful attacks, and was eventually seriously injured by Tuo Sen. Then, when the fingerbone was split in half, his body collapsed due to the shockwave of ancient god aura. Even his origin soul was seriously injured, which gave Wang Lin the chance to capture him. However, this old man was extremely powerful, and his origin soul had turned corporeal, like a real body. If not for the Soul Lasher having a fatal effect against origin souls, Wang Lin wouldn't have been able to seal him. Staring at the white-haired old man's origin soul, Wang Lin's hands formed a seal and pointed. The Soul Lasher immediately emitted a dark gold glow and shrank. The old man's origin soul trembled and his face revealed pain. He opened his eyes and coldly looked at Wang Lin. You are merely a 6-star ancient god. My moon clan has killed a lot like you. Even though you have captured this old man's origin soul, what can you do? This old man's origin soul has already turned corporeal and can be die or be destroyed. The old man grinned and closed his eyes. He stopped paying attention to Wang Lin and tried to use his origin energy. However, thanks to the soul lasher, everything was sealed. Wang Lin didn't speak and waved his right hand. There was a flash of bloodlight and the blood sword appeared. He mercilessly stabbed the old man's origin soul with the blood sword. The blood sword directly penetrated old man's origin soul, and he let out a miserable scream. He suddenly opened his eyes and stared at Wang Lin. As the old man screamed, Wang Lin raised the blood sword and cut open the old man's origin soul. Large amounts of origin soul essence was released, and Wang Lin devoured it. I can kill you? A member of the slave clan dares to be so arrogant. Wang Lin's voice was cold, and he waved the blood sword in his hand once more, cutting the old man's origin soul. The old man screamed even more miserably, and his body trembled. He stared at the blood sword in Wang Lin's hand, and fear filled his eyes. What kind of sword is this? Wang Lin didn't answer the old man's question. His expression was indifferent as he waved the blood sword in his hand toward the old man's origin soul. The old man's screams gradually became more faint as time went on. He vaguely had a guess of Wang Lin's intentions, and he began to panic. Wang Lin wasn't going to kill him, but continued to weaken him. With the soul slasher, he couldn't even recover. He could only look on in fear as his origin soul essence leaked out. He couldn't even self-destruct. After several hours, the old man was weakened to a limit. All origin energy in his body had leaked out and wounds covered his origin soul. The blood sword also contained a suction force that took some of his vitality every time it cut. Not only was this painful, but he was now dying. Just at this moment, Wang Lin's eyes lit up. As he withdrew the blood sword, his right hand pressed down on the old man's origin soul. His divine sense rushed out, and he began to search the old man's soul. The old man's previously weak screams became louder. His body trembled, and he began to resist like crazy. However, the moment he started to resist, Wang Lin waved his right hand, and the blood sword appeared again. It directly penetrated the old man's origin soul. The old man's body trembled greatly, and his resistance collapsed. His eyes became dull, and his body became transparent, as if he could collapse at any moment. After a long time, Wang Lin raised his right hand, and his expression became extremely serious. The white-haired old man's origin soul was now completely transparent, and started to slowly dissipate. However, as he dissipated, there was a flash of bloodlight as the blood sword pierced through his head and destroyed him completely. The moment he died, the white-haired old man's soul appeared on a continent inside the wind and rain realm. He sat there and gave off a shocking amount of milky white aura. The Moon Clan is extremely large. The group Tuo-Sen and I destroyed was merely a branch. In the ancient star system, the Moon Clan still has 3 more branches. In the main branch, there is an ancestor of the Moon Clan. That person is a 3rd-step cultivator. This old man had never seen the sovereign in his life. He only knew that at a long time ago, the sovereign fled from the inner realm seriously injured and has been healing in a mysterious place. Combined with the words of Tao Master Blue Dream, the sovereign being injured by a roar of something in the inner realm and then escaping in panic is credible. The sovereign is in closed-door cultivation due to his injuries. I just don't to know how much he has recovered. Wang Lin's eyes turned cold, and he looked at the sky. It is time to leave. That woman in white must still be waiting there. Leo dreams of getting a lot of likes for this video, having many followers, plenty of shares, and everyone praising his good reading and the number of words he can read. So happy. Chapter 1324. Leaving the Blue Silk Clan. The Ancient Gods Slave Clan. The Moon Clan. When the Moon Clan betrayed the ancient gods, they had help from a mysterious group of people. These people's spells were extremely shocking and completely different from that of the people of the ancient star system. They were also very adept at using seals. Only thanks to their help did the Moon Clan gain the confidence and will to betray the ancient gods. However, even today, the Moon Clan hadn't been able to guess the identity of that mysterious group of cultivators. Not even the Moon Clan's 3rd-step ancestor knew much. The rumor was that the mysterious cultivators that suddenly appeared seemed to have made deals with many of the clans, but didn't he have much relation with the ancient imperial concubines? These people had given the Moon Clan a strange spell that allowed them to absorb the power of the ancient gods. Wang Lin began to ponder. He had searched the old man's memory and obtained the spell, but it wasn't complete. This spell was called Noble Spirit Spell. Not everyone could cultivate this spell, and it needed something called spirit seeds. The mysterious people had left some spirit seeds in the bodies of the Moon Clan's people. They were like parasites that grew inside the members of the Moon Clan. The Moon Clan used this Noble Spirit Spell to devour the ancient gods that died during the war. They used this to develop their clan into one of the ancient star system's great clans. While pondering, Wang Lin's expression became gloomy. The more he learned, the more he felt like it was strange. It was as if a layer of fog had covered the world. If he couldn't lift this fog, he wouldn't be able to see everything. His eyes lit up and he waved his right hand, putting away the giant ancient god finger into his storage space. After sorting his things, he looked at the earth and took a step. He left the planet and appeared in space. The stars were bright as Wang Lin floated in space and recalled the strange scene of the woman in white. However, there had been a speculation in his mind. After a long time, Wang Lin suppressed the speculation. He silently looked at the direction of Mount Blue. He seemed to vaguely see Li Qianmei and Dao Master Blue Dream. He revealed a complicated gaze before letting out a sigh. Then he turned into a ray of light and flew toward the edge of the Blue Silk Clan. Before he left the Blue Silk Clan, ripples appeared under Wang Lin's feet, and he merged with the world, disappearing without a trace. The ripples spread out very far and gradually disappeared from the star domain. Wang Lin left. The moment he left on Mount Blue, Dao Master Blue Dream was still playing the zither, and didn't raise his head. Li Qianmei silently cultivated as if she hadn't noticed anything. Wang Lin used spatial bending to merge with the world, and after a few breaths of time, ripples appeared somewhere in the ancient star system. Distortion came from the ripple, as if a figure was about to appear. There was a woman in white floating eerily in the void outside the ripples. It was unknown when the woman had appeared. It was as if she was outside the Blue Silk Clan just the breath before, and on the next breath she was here. She calmly looked at the ripples, waiting for the figure inside. However, just at this moment, the ripples suddenly changed, and the figure that was about to come out seemed to take another step. In an instant, the ripples intensified and spread out until they got weaker and weaker, to the point where they disappeared. This was the second time the woman's eyes had revealed a strange light. She silently looked at where the ripples disappeared, and then her body gradually turned to nothing. In another part of the ancient star system, the woman in white appeared. She was like a prophet. The moment she appeared, ripples echoed before her. However, just like before, the moment the ripples appeared, they violently trembled. However, this time she raised her right hand and waved. The ripples were silently chopped down the middle and then shattered. The moment they shattered, the origin energy within this aura surged like a storm and formed a giant vortex tens of thousands of feet wide. All the origin energy was sucked in, and all teleportation spells would be useless before this vortex. The moment the ripples shattered and the vortex appeared, Wang Lin's figure appeared from the void. His 5 essences were hidden in his eyes, allowing him to see the woman in white inside the vortex. Your Excellency prevented me from leaving several times. What is your intention? Wang Lin's voice was flat and calm. The woman didn't speak. She raised her right hand and pointed toward Wang Lin. With this point, the vortex in the void rotated even faster, reaching a limit, and flew toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin felt like he was in a quagmire and couldn't break free from the vortex. He waved his right hand, and 2 deer phantoms appeared between his fingers. 10 million sword shadows suddenly broke free, creating a powerful force that swept the surrounding vortex. Thunderous rumbles echoed and the vortex paused for a moment under the impact of the sword shadows. Wang Lin quickly retreated and was about to leave the vortex. The woman in white looked calmly at Wang Lin, who was rapidly retreating, and pointed forward once more. With this, a giant phantom hand appeared behind Wang Lin. The hand looked like it was made of jade and mercilessly reached toward Wang Lin. The giant hand appeared too suddenly and was very fast. It grabbed Wang Lin almost the moment after it appeared, and it held on tight. At the same time, the woman closed in and crossed the vortex. In an instant, she arrived before Wang Lin. There was less than 5 feet between before the two of them. All of his happened in a flash, fast beyond belief. It was as if Wang Lin had no power to fight back against her. Wang Lin didn't struggle, allowing the hand to grab him. He stared at the blurry woman in white before him and said, "Who the hell are you?" The woman in white looked at Wang Lin and spoke for the first time. Blue concubine, Lu Lan. Her voice was very pleasant and carried with it a strange charm. "One of the 8 ancient imperial concubines?" Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. The woman in white nodded, and then walked forward until she was standing less than 7 inches from Wang Lin. There seemed to be a faint fragrance coming from her body that entered Wang Lin's nose, but he didn't smell anything. "I originally didn't want to absorb your divinity, but since you can see me, I can no longer wait." The woman in white opened her mouth no less than 7 inches away from Wang Lin. They were almost face to face and she was no longer a blur, so her appearance clearly appeared in Wang Lin's eyes. The moment Wang Lin clearly saw her appearance, his pupils shrank. Thunder rumbled in his mind and he was dazed for a moment. The woman's face was Li Muan's. The moment Wang Lin entered a daze and his mind was shaken, the woman's lip trembled. She exhaled and then gently inhaled. As she inhaled, the ancient god stars appeared between Wang Lin's eyebrows and rotated rapidly. Faint, golden smoke came out of the stars. The woman's originally calm expression suddenly revealed excitement and greed. The golden smoke was about to be inhaled into her mouth. However, just at this moment, the daze in Wang Lin's eyes disappeared and was replaced with clarity. World! A world appeared like the cold wind, and a flash came from Wang Lin's body. A black light spread out from his body. The wind and rain world that contained Wang Lin's jaws flames erupted. The woman in white was too close to Wang Lin. As the ghostly light flashed, the wind and rain world suddenly expanded to 10,000 feet. The woman couldn't help but be pushed back by the wind and rain world. Her expression suddenly changed. At the same time, the golden smoke suddenly contracted the moment the wind and rain world expanded. None of it was inhaled by the woman, and it all returned back into his ancient god stars. There was a flash of monstrous blood light as the blood sword flew around Wang Lin. It pierced the jade hand holding Wang Lin. The hand collapsed and Wang Lin broke free. Everything that had just happened was part of Wang Lin's plan. He wanted to know the woman's identity and what her purpose was. Only after knowing all of this could he calmly confront her. More importantly, he had taken this risk to confirm a speculation he had about this woman from the moment he first saw her. Although the woman in white was pushed 10,000 feet away by wind and rain world, there was a flash of coldness in her eyes. She waved her right hand, and a giant spatial crack appeared in the void. This giant spatial crack looked like it would devour everything in its path, and it charged at Wang Lin. She also stepped forward. Wang Lin sneered as the world around him shrank until it formed a protective barrier 100 feet around him. At the same time, he raised his right finger and coldly said, "If you had come with your original body, I'd be no match, but this mere avatar can deceive my eyes." When Wang Lin spoke, the woman's expression changed greatly. She never would have thought that he would be able to see through the fact that she was only an avatar. The woman in white closed in as she said, "It must be Tao Master Blue Dream who told you." Heaven reversal stamp. Wang Lin's right hand immediately slammed down. The world in Wang Lin's pupils turned, and the world outside quickly changed with it. 3,000 words in a major chapter. Wish that the like button for the video would break. You are listening to a completely free audiobook on the Leo Audio YouTube channel. If you enjoy the story, please like the video to motivate the channel. Support Leo with a cup of coffee through the description link or on the screen. If you want to hear any other stories, just comment and let Leo know. Thank you very much for watching the video. Chapter 132, Upheaval in Haofen. 1. Sun Yukai's body trembled as he escaped underground. The fear was making him feel like he couldn't even breath. Just at this moment, he felt the ground before him warm up, and he secretly complained. This earth escape move was an amazing technique anywhere else, but here in Haofen, where there were many volcanoes, there were some serious restrictions. If he accidentally tunneled into lava, then he could only blame himself. Normally, when Sun Yukai runs, he identifies the direction and immediately changes direction when he feels heat. But now, he believed that he was being chased by a soul formation expert. He didn't pay attention, and now it was too late. All he could do was use all his might to raise his body up. With a loud bang, his body bursted out from underground into a cave inside a volcano. A wave of heat immediately hit him, causing his hair and eyebrows to immediately curl. He let out a scream as he quickly threw out his flying sword and moved onto a rock. After just these few moments in the heat, his skin was already cracking and his clothes were instantly turned to dust. Even the flying sword under his feet had turned red, and its temperature kept on increasing. The moment sweat appeared on Sun Yukai's body, every drop turned into white vapor. Looking at him now, his entire body was surrounded by this white vapor. Although he was naked, there was still a hint of a divine being. Below him was a large pool of lava. There were many large bubbles in the pool, and every time one burst, black gas would rise up. Sun Yukai was able to bite the bullet and rush through to the other side of the volcano before he stopped in place, as he looked at the lava below him with a look of terror. At this moment, Wang Lin had caught up. He didn't know the earth escape technique, but his divine sense had been locked onto Sun Yukai the whole time. He suddenly noticed that Sun Yukai had stopped, so he took out the piece of metal and pointed at the ground. The metal spun as it hit the ground and dug a tunnel. Wang Lin's body quickly followed and entered the lava pool Sun Yukai was at. The moment he entered the volcano, Wang Lin noticed Sun Yukai, who was staring at the lava below in terror. Wang Lin followed Sun Yukai's gaze into the lava and saw triangle-shaped eyes. Wang Lin took a deep breath and backed out of the tunnel. He hid, not moving an inch, and stared at the eyes. According to Ma Liang's memories from when he grew up as a kid, there was no creature in Hofen that lived inside a volcano. If there was, then it would be impossible for them not to be found by the cultivators of Hofen. It has to be said that every few years, the ancestors of the four great sects seal the volcanoes for safety. At the same time, Sun Yukai seemed to be possessed as he stared at the eyes. He got off the flying sword and stepped onto the rock with his bare feet. The moment his feet touched the rock, the smell of burning flesh spread out. He only took 3 steps before his flesh and skin were completely burned off, revealing bones that had been burnt black. However, Sun Yukai didn't reveal any look of suffering as he jumped into the lava from the edge of the rock. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as his hand reached out. The moment Sun Yukai started falling, he grabbed Sun Yukai's bag and then quickly backed away without even looking back at the lava. A roar came from behind Wang Lin, and the heat in the area suddenly intensified. As Wang Lin ran, the tunnel around him turned red. If someone were to look from above, they would see that all of the big and small volcanoes were spewing black smoke, especially one of the large volcanoes. Around it, a red light visible to the eyes spread out. Everything that was touched by this red light turned red. Wang Lin's face was dark as he followed the tunnel. He suddenly stopped as he saw an ocean of flames gathered in the tunnel before him. The fire formed a creature with triangular eyes and a single horn. It looked at Wang Lin with killing intent. Without a word, Wang Lin sent out his G-realm divine sense. One could only see a ray of red lightning shoot out from Wang Lin's eyes and enter the fire beast. The fire beast's fire dimmed for a moment, but it soon recovered. It then opened its mouth and let out a roar before charging at Wang Lin. Wang Lin's face darkened even more. He turned around, but his pupils suddenly shrank as another fire beast appeared behind him. At this moment, inside the narrow tunnel, there were 2 fire beasts blocking both sides. He clenched his teeth as he sent out the piece of metal. The metal began to dig another tunnel and Wang Lin quickly followed. But just at this moment, the 2 fire beasts suddenly let out roars. Wang Lin's heart sank. The dirt around Wang Lin suddenly turned red and hardened until it formed a cage. Wang Lin was trapped inside. This cage was closing around him until it completely surrounded him, finally trapping Wang Lin inside. At this moment, waves of cracks appeared on the ground. The ground collapsed inwards, forming a basin. A ball of black dirt was formed with Wang Lin inside. Around the dirt ball were 8 fire beasts that constantly spewed fire at the ball of dirt to make it smaller. Soon the ball grew smaller and smaller, and the beasts eventually stopped. One of the fire beasts grabbed the ball of dirt and jumped onto the ground. The other fire beasts quickly followed. They soon returned to the cave they were in before. The fire beast threw the ball of dirt into the lava before jumping in with the other fire beasts. They all disappeared into the lava. The lava let out a few more bubbles before calming down. The surrounding volcano stopped spewing black smoke and the heat wave disappeared. Aside from the giant basin that was formed by the fire beast, there was no other evidence of what had just occurred remaining. And basins were very common in Haofen. Almost next to every volcano there would be big and small basins. Wang Lin hugged his body as he resisted the high-temperature waves. The moment the dirt surrounded him, he covered his body in his J realm divine sense. At the moment, his divine sense was slowly dissolving the dirt ball. He could clearly feel that he was shaking. With a shake, he could feel that he was thrown to the ground. Currently, his divine sense had broken through the restriction of the dirt ball, so he could clearly see everything before him. In front of him was an endless pool of lava. There were countless openings above it. Lava flowed down into this endless pool from the openings. The dirt ball he was trapped in was currently floating in the lava. Around him were 7 or 8 more dirt balls floating around. On top of each one sat a fire beast. Then he looked at the lava around him and saw countless triangular eyes. One of the fire beasts jumped up from the lava and sat down on top of Wang Lin's ball of dirt. The fire beasts didn't notice Wang Lin's divine sense at all. Time slowly passed and more fire beasts came from the tunnels above. Every group carried a dirt ball as well. At this moment, the entire pool of lava began to shake. Every fire beast quickly made an opening where a giant fire beast appeared. Wang Lin quickly withdrew his divine sense and began to observe carefully. A normal fire beast was only 3 feet tall, but just the head of this large fire beast was already larger than 10 feet. Slowly, a large portion of the big fire beast's body appeared. Along with this large body, a powerful pressure came, causing all of the small fire beasts to stop moving. Wang Lin's heart was shocked. The power this large fire beast was at was least at the nascent soul level. As for exactly how strong, Wang Lin was unable to determine as he had never met a soul formation cultivator before. This large fire beast looked around before moving to the left. Soon, another large fire beast came out. One by one they appeared until there was a total of 16. These 16 fire beasts formed a circle. Once the circle was complete, a translucent ring of fire appeared in the middle. Rainbow-colored light emanated from it. Wang Lin carefully looked and saw a figure slowly become solid as it formed a ball of fire the size of his fist. Slivers of red lines lined the ball of fire to the ring of fire. The moment the ball of fire appeared, the 16 large fire beasts let out roars. One by one, their bodies jumped up from the lava pool. They then proceeded to kneel on the lava. All of the smaller fire beasts also jumped out of the lava and kneeled. Wang Lin was observing when he suddenly felt a shock in his brain as the heaven-defying bead appeared without him willing it for the first time. If he didn't quickly stop it, then it would have broken through the dirt. Just at this moment, a fire beast grabbed the dirt ball beneath him and threw it at the ball of fire. The dirt ball suddenly stopped in midair and the ball of fire quickly entered the dirt ball. The sucking noise was very clear in this silent cave. A chilling scream came from inside the dirt ball. The scream continued, but got softer and softer until no sound came out anymore. Soon, slivers of blood mist came from the dirt ball and the ball of fire came out. The dirt ball fell from the air and sank into the lava. Wang Lin's heart sank as well. He now understood that he wasn't the only person alive inside a dirt ball. Even if he didn't protect himself, the dirt ball wouldn't have killed him. At most, he would be asleep. Subsequently, 4 more dirt balls were tossed at the ball of fire. Screams rang out as the ball of fire entered them. The screams lasted for more than half an hour. When the 5th dirt ball sank into the lava, the dirt ball Wang Lin was in was thrown out. The heaven-defying bead shook violently, and with a never-before-seen momentum, it broke through Wang Lin's hold. Just at this moment, the ball of fire entered the dirt ball Wang Lin was in. 3,000 words in a major chapter. Hoping to be shared, hoping to get the like button hit for the video. Chapter 1325. Projection Avatar. Thunderous rumbles echoed and space itself flipped upside down. There was no sky or earth in space, but Wang Lin's mind contained its own world. At this moment, a shadow appeared. This shadow was like a cloud. It churned and rumbled as it spread. Then a portion of the cloud sank and became the earth. The rest of the cloud floated up and formed the sky. Sky and earth appeared. All of this happened in an instant. As the woman closed in with her spell with a wave of Wang Lin's hand, the earth became the sky. The sky rotated and became the earth. Even the woman in white couldn't help but move with it. You followed me the whole way and wanted to kill me, so you deserve to be killed. Wang Lin's right hand mercilessly pressed down. The earth that had become the sky came crashing down. As the earth descended, the world trembled and an unimaginable pressure appeared. The expression of the woman in white changed. Tao Master Blue Dream S Heaven Reversal Stamp. He passed that spell to you. The woman stopped moving forward and her body was reversed. Then her hands formed a seal and she muttered something. White light came from her body to resist this spell. However, the Heaven Reversal Stamp was one of Tao Master Blue Dream's great spells. At this moment, the earth that became the sky smashed down. The spatial crack created by the woman in white immediately collapsed. The white light from her body also disintegrated. At this moment of danger, she opened her mouth and spat out a white jade. The moment the jade appeared, the world trembled, and the jade floated before the wormen, forming a white barrier. Thunderous rumbles spread across the stars. The earth and sky overlapped at this moment, creating an even more violent pressure. Space itself seemed like it was ready to collapse as large amounts of spatial cracks appeared. A moment later, everything disappeared. The world that had appeared disappeared the moment the sky and earth overlapped. However, the destructive aura created by it still lingered. The woman's face was pale and killing intent filled her eyes. The jade floating around her made it so she wouldn't be killed by the Heaven Reversal Stamp. You send mere projection avatar with only third Heaven-s blight cultivation and dare to try to kill me? If not for you having a strange body that made it hard for me to detect you, I would have killed you a long time ago. Since the first time I noticed you, I have been wondering about something. If you were really a third-step cultivator, how could you have allowed me to leave so easily? If you have a real body, how come I couldn't smell you even when you were that close? If you had a real body, why would you need a treasure to resist the Heaven Reversal Stamp? Wang Lin smiled. His words were like knives that cut into the woman in white. This was the speculation in his mind. In order to confirm the speculation, he didn't escape, and instead decided to fight with the woman in white. If this person really was a third-step cultivator, then even if he used spatial bending, it would be difficult to escape. However, if she wasn't then he, Wang Lin, also wasn't someone who could be easily provoked. You a mere projection avatar without a body. You wanted to absorb my divinity, and even used an illusion to turn into my loved one. Just for that you must die. Wang Lin took a step forward and waved his hand after he spoke. The wind and rain world suddenly spread out to 10,000 feet. The battle souls on the fragments flew out and charged at the woman in white. The woman's expression was gloomy. She had to admit that she had underestimated Wang Lin's ability. She had only met Wang Lin by accident and thought she had a foolproof plan. However, she didn't think that he would notice her on their first meeting, nor that on the second meeting she would be at a disadvantage in battle. Unfortunately, my original body can come. Otherwise, there was a flash of coldness in her eyes. However, at this moment she saw the battle souls inside the wind and rain world, and her expression changed once more. This is while she was shocked. The countless souls rushed out and surrounded her. There was a milky white aura around them when they began their attack. Thunderous rumbles echoed and the woman in white quickly retreated. Her hands quickly formed a seal and she reached toward the void. Black light appeared in her grasp and flashed rapidly in her hand. Spirit Destruction Light. There was a flash of killing intent in her eyes and she waved her hand. Just as the black light shot toward the battle souls, the wind and rain world suddenly disappeared and turned into countless smaller worlds around each battle soul to resist the black light. Thunderous rumbles echoed across the world. The battle souls were forced to retreat before the black light, but none of them were damaged. All the attacks were negated by the wind and rain world around them. The woman in white continued to retreat, and in the blink of an eye, she retreated thousands of feet. Wang Lin took a step forward and closed in on the woman in white. She had the jade protecting her, so she wasn't afraid of getting injured. She raised her right hand once more, and even more black light gathered to form a black longsword. The moment this sword appeared, the world changed colors, and a thunderous rumble echoed. She looked at Wang Lin and waved her right hand. The black longsword flew directly at Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. The moment the black longsword arrived, his hands formed a seal and he softly said, "Light and shadow shield!" After he spoke, all the light in space began to gather. All light, including starlight and light invisible to the eye, gathered around Wang Lin like crazy. As the light gathered, a giant light shadow appeared. The black longsword closed in and immediately collided with the light shadow. A heaven-shaking rumble echoed and spread. The light shadow shined brightly when the black longsword collided with it, while a majority of the light shadow collapsed. The reflecting force caused the black longsword to turn around and shoot toward the woman in white. The moment the woman in white saw Wang Lin's light and shadow shield, her pupils shrank. She quickly retreated, but the black longsword was too fast and landed on the barrier around her body. Thunderous rumbles echoed and her face became even more pale. The jade protecting her became even more dim. However, it wasn't over. Right after reflecting the black longsword, Wang Lin charged out. He raised his right hand and monstrous bloodlight appeared. The blood sword appeared in his hand, and he mercilessly chopped down. "Die for me!" As he roared, a monstrous bloodlight lit up space and created a monstrous killing intent toward the woman in white. Her expression changed once more as she anxiously formed seals and created countless layers of protection before her body. However, the bloodlight was too fast and directly pierced through the countless layers of protection before colliding with the jade. A thunderous roar shook the world, and space itself trembled. A cracking sound came from the jade, and a crack appeared on it. The woman in white coughed out a mouthful of blood. She retreated, and her body became blurry and disappeared. Seeing the woman coughing out blood, Wang Lin's pupils shrank and he was startled for a moment. His speculation was that she was only a projection avatar and was not corporeal. However, looking at it now, she had blood. However, he was battling, and therefore didn't he have time to think. Killing intent filled his eyes as he charged out with the blood sword. His 5 essences rotated in his eyes, and he looked around. He once more found the woman in white. He mercilessly chopped down with the blood sword once more. "Original body, save me!" The woman in white had a mournful expression as she quickly retreated. She began to chant and wave her hand. The jade with a crack shined brightly. A white, jade-like hand came out of the light and gently pointed at Wang Lin, who was closing in. The appearance of this hand caused the world to stop. Even light dimmed. Everything seemed to become pale before this hand. It was as if the entire world was replaced by this hand, and everything the hand was pointing at collapsed. The moment the finger pressed down, Wang Lin suddenly felt a powerful sense of life and death crisis, far stronger than with Taoist water. Wang Lin suddenly stopped, and he didn't hesitate to wave his hand. The thousands of wind and rain worlds instantly fused into one and surrounded his body. At this moment, Wang Lin used the light and shield once more. Large amounts of light gathered and formed a giant light shadow. Just at this moment, the index finger of the jade-like hand collided with the light shadow around Wang Lin. The light shadow trembled and made a noise that sounded like it couldn't withstand it. It began to collapse. As it collapsed, waves of reflecting force shot out and resisted the finger. However, the finger wasn't stopped at all and directly penetrated the light shadow. This caused the light and shadow shield to completely disintegrate. The moment it disintegrated, it landed on the wind and rain world around Wang Lin's body. The world trembled violently and the souls inside howled. Milky white aura came out of the souls to resist this finger. Tonight there will be 2 to 3 new chapters. Leo will do his utmost to make up for the chapters missing from the last 2 days. Chapter 1326, Hunt. However, the finger was unimaginably powerful. After the light and shadow shield was destroyed, it seemed as if the wind and rain realm could disintegrate at any moment. The finger created a giant concave on the wind and rain world. As it pushed in further, the world trembled even more violently. The milky white aura resisted like crazy as it attempted to offset the force inside the finger. Wang Lin's body quickly retreated as he clearly felt that the wind and rain world couldn't resist much longer. At this moment of danger, his eyes revealed madness, and he waved his right hand to open his storage space. The moment his storage space appeared, the wind and rain world rapidly contracted until it was inside Wang Lin's body. Without anything hindering it, the finger pressed down between Wang Lin's eyebrows. However, the moment it closed in, Wang Lin roared, and the giant ancient god finger bone came out of the storage space and blocked before Wang Lin. The jade-like index finger pressed directly on the ancient god finger. A thunderous rumble caused the star field itself to tremble. Wang Lin coughed out a large mouthful of blood and was pushed back with the ancient god finger bone. An invisible light penetrated the ancient god finger bone and went through Wang Lin's chest. It pierced out through Wang Lin's back along with blood mist. The finger suddenly trembled when it collided with the ancient god finger, as if it had just withstood a powerful impact. The finger became blurry and was about to dissipate. Intense pain washed over Wang Lin. If it was anyone else, they would definitely want to escape, but not Wang Lin. He ignored the pain and had a fierce expression as he raised his right hand. Bloodlight gathered into the blood sword, and he mercilessly chopped down on the finger. The blood sword flashed and landed on the finger. The moment the blood sword closed in, the hand reached up to catch it. However, the blood sword directly penetrated through the hand. There was a faint, delicate groan, and the hand was split in half and dissipated from the world as if it had never appeared. The jade before the woman in white shattered into dust. The woman in white was completely pale and coughed out blood. She quickly retreated and merged with the world to escape. You can escape. Wang Lin's chest was a bloody mess, and blood was flowing down. Although the finger was blocked by the light and shadow shield, wind and rain world, and the ancient god finger, a trace of it had still pierced through Wang Lin's chest. If it was an ordinary cultivator, if they weren't killed, they would be seriously injured. However, Wang Lin was an ancient god, and therefore had a powerful healing factor. In just a moment, Wang Lin's wound showed signs of healing. As the woman in white fled, Wang Lin gathered all his treasure and gave chase. Searching for the ripples created when the woman in white escaped, Wang Lin merged with the world. He pursued her from the traces of the ripples. This was the complete opposite of what happened before, from being hunted to the one hunting. The woman in white was fleeing in panic, while Wang Lin was in hot pursuit. This woman's cultivation is strange. Although it looks like a projection avatar, it has flesh and blood. If this is true, then she really must die. If I don't take advantage of her being seriously injured to kill her, then there will definitely be trouble in the future. Also, she must have some secret on her. The spell she used just now was clearly summoning the power of her original body. If my spells hadn't become stronger while I was at the Blue Silk clan, I would have died. This woman is also more familiar with the ancient star system than me, so I must kill her as soon as possible. If she flees to some place I can find, then all of this will be for nothing. Wang Lin continued to merge with the world as he chased and began hunting her. Ripples echoed among the stars in the ancient star system, and the woman in white staggered out. Her face revealed a rare sign of panic, and she was about to teleport away from this place. However, her expression changed. She clenched her teeth and chose to merge with the world to escape. After she left, ripples appeared and Wang Lin's figure flashed. He didn't choose to appear but disappeared once more. The two of them only continued for a short of time. In less than 15 minutes, they had crossed paths several times, and the time between was getting shorter. The woman was extremely anxious as Wang Lin pursued her closely, giving her great pressure. This was something that was impossible before, but now she was becoming more and more anxious. Just 3 more, and then I'll be safe. Just 3 more. The woman in white appeared in space, her face pale. Just as she appeared and ripples appeared under her feet for her to leave, thunderous rumbles echoed. Endless thunder came from all directions, forming a vortex and distorting the origin energy here, preventing her from leaving. While her expression changed greatly, Wang Lin stepped out of the void with a cold gaze. He didn't even speak as he waved his right hand. The clouds appeared once more to form the sky and earth. Heaven reversal stamp. As the world reversed, the sky and earth overlapped and a thunderous rumble echoed. The woman in white coughed out blood when the sky and earth overlapped. She quickly retreated, but there was a flash of bloodlight and the blood sword pierced through her back. She let out a miserable scream and her white clothes were dyed blood red. Large amounts of distortion appeared around her and countless images flashed by. Within images, there was a woman kneeling on the ground, and a jade-like hand reached out from the void. It pressed a white jade between her eyebrows. It only took a moment for those twisted images to collapse, and a rich, milky aura came from her head. This aura was almost solid and revealed a faint golden line. Wang Lin was no stranger to this milky white aura. It was Joss Flame. However, this woman's Joss Flame was extremely rich, which surprised Wang Lin. Just her Joss Flame was enough to match 30% of the Joss Flames in Wang Lin's wind and rain world. When the milky white aura filled her body, blood stopped flowing out of the wound created by the blood sword. Now that the bleeding had stopped, she anxiously retreated. While being surrounded by the milky white aura, she disregarded the distorted origin energy and merged with the world. If this woman can become a soul in my wind and rain world, Wang Lin's heart pounded. The moment the woman left, he also disappeared almost at the same time and began chasing once more. In the northwest domain of the ancient star system, there was a cultivation planet. This was where the demonic Scorpion clan was located. Although it wasn't a big clan, they were famous for their cruelty. Ripples echoed outside of a planet in the demonic Scorpion clan's star domain. The woman in white stepped out, and blood flowed down the corner of her mouth. After she appeared, she didn't hesitate to merge with the world once more. Only 2 more. After doing this 2 more times, IL arrived there, and there won't be any danger. However, just as she was about to merge with the world, a bloodlight flashed. It penetrated through the void and headed for her forehead. It was filled with killing intent and was too fast. The woman had no time to dodge or merge with the world. At this moment of crisis, the milky white aura spread out and blocked. It collided with the blood sword. The blood sword penetrated the milky white aura, but its trajectory was changed, so it pierced through her right shoulder. She let out a miserable scream and quickly retreated while staring ahead viciously. At this moment, Wang Lin stepped out from the void, and his right hand reached toward the woman in white. "Where are you going to run to?" Seeing that she was about to be caught, she bit the top of her tongue out, coughed out blood toward the milky white aura. A shocking roar resounded and a powerful impact spread out. Due to this impact, the woman's body was thrown away and dodged Wang Lin's grip. She then charged toward the cultivation planet below. At the same time, the woman let out a mournful scream. "Where's the demonic Scorpion clan? I am one of the blue concubine's avatars. Quickly, stop this person!" The moment her voice spread out, cultivators immediately rushed out. In just an instant, almost 1,000 cultivators flew out of the cultivation planet. The moment these cultivators appeared, they didn't hesitate to charge toward Wang Lin. The woman in white took out some pills and devoured them. She looked at Wang Lin with a venomous gaze and was about to merge with the world to leave once more. How could Wang Lin let her escape? He waved his right hand and his body rapidly expanded into his 10,000-foot ancient god body. He charged forward and his fist swept past everyone as he threw a fierce punch. With one punch, the world rumbled and the entire star field seemed like it was going to collapse. A giant spatial crack suddenly appeared and extended indefinitely, as if the entire star field was going to be split open. The woman in white that had merged with the world was forced out by this spatial crack as soon as it appeared. Her face was deathly pale and she quickly retreated. As Wang Lin charged forward, those 1,000 cultivators' spells and magic treasures arrived. Wang Lin didn't even look at them as he moved forward. Light gathered from all directions and formed a light shadow around him. All spells and treasures were reflected when they fell on the light shadow. Wang Lin was like a 10,000-foot light giant, and as he moved forward, the cultivators screamed as they were hit by their own reflected attacks. Some of them had their bodies destroyed by the impact from Wang Lin's charge. In a flash, Wang Lin closed in and threw a punch at the retreating woman in white. Good night, everyone. We will meet again tomorrow. Just wait a moment. Remember to like the video. Chapter 1327. Scam. The other cultivation planet within the demonic Scorpion clan noticed the commotion, and a large amount of cultivators flew out. However, the woman in white felt that the only thing left was her and the light shadow giant. The giant punch closed in, and no one could block it for her. At this moment of crisis, she released even more milky white aura. When the punch arrived, the milky white aura rushed to the spot between her eyebrows. A mark appeared between her eyebrows. This mark was 3 lines that gave off red, yellow, and blue light. The moment it appeared, a memory she seemed to have forgotten flashed through her mind. In her memory, she knelt on the ground and was chosen as the saintess of the River Clan. On the acceptance day, a jade-like hand appeared before her. The hand was warm, and when it touched her forehead, it erased her clan mark. From today onward, you will become one of my avatars. You will use your body to nourish my projection avatar. To help me heal, you will also become my Joss Flame disciple. This memory flashed across her mind, but time didn't allow her to think too much. The moment the mark appeared, the milky white aura formed a vortex. The vortex confronted Wang Lin's punch. Thunderous rumbles echoed and space itself trembled. The woman in white coughed out blood and was thrown away. As she was being thrown away, the milky white aura surrounded her, allowing her to break all barriers and merge with the world. Wang Lin's right hand felt numb and his eyes revealed a strange light. As the woman in white disappeared, he took a step and also disappeared. After he left, the light disappeared, leaving behind countless corpses and the shocked demonic Scorpion clan cultivators that had arrived late. In the eastern part of the ancient star system, ripples dispersed as the woman in white surrounded by the milky white aura walked out. She was almost like an empty oil lamp. After she appeared, she didn't hesitate to take the last step. The last one. Once I get there, I'll be rescued. However, just as she raised her right foot, the world trembled and space itself shook. Bloodlight pierced through the void from all directions and charged at the woman in white. The woman in white didn't even look at Wang Lin, who appeared with a venomous and mocking expression. When the blood sword arrived, her body was already transparent. No matter how much the blood sword tried, it couldn't injure her body. As the woman in white was about to disappear, she said these cold words, "I'll let you go for now, but you will die for sure next time. Keep your divinity safe, it won't be long before we see each other again." However, what answered her was Wang Lin's right index finger and an even colder voice. "Stop!" After he spoke, the world stopped moving. Even the woman, who was turning transparent, stopped as well. Her eyes still retained the coldness and ridicule. Everything in the world stopped. While everything was stopped, Wang Lin took a step, and his right hand reached toward the woman in white. The 5 essences in his eyes rotated rapidly, and a portion of it broke off into his right hand. This allowed his reach to break through everything. He pierced through the ripples and caught her transparent body. He then pulled her out from the void. "I told you, you can escape." Holding the woman in white, the stop spell dissipated. The woman's body quickly turned from transparent to corporeal. Her eyes were filled with disbelief and panic. Wang Lin had already turned to normal, and his right hand held the woman in white. He lifted his left hand to search her soul, but milky white aura rushed out. It wasn't to attack Wang Lin, but to destroy the woman in white. Without any time to search her soul, Wang Lin was more reluctant to give up her soul. As the milky white aura was about to destroy her, there was a flash of bloodlight, and the blood sword pierced the woman. He destroyed her origin soul before the milky white aura could. This was stealing the soul from the reincarnation cycle, and stealing Joss flames from the blue concubine. The moment the woman in white trembled for the last time and completely died, the soul of a woman appeared in his wind and rain world. A powerful Joss flame came from her soul and was absorbed by Wang Lin. After the woman in white died, her flesh melted into a pool of blood water. However, a golden thread flew out of it and charged for the void. This golden thread was formed by the projection avatar the blue concubine had been nourishing. Now that the woman in white had died, the golden thread was about to break through the void and return to the recovering blue concubine. Wang Lin suddenly raised his head and swung the blood sword at the golden thread. However, the indestructible blood sword went through the thread and didn't damage it at all. The golden thread didn't seem to belong to this world. It had no solid form and couldn't be injured by treasures at all. The golden thread flew further and was about to disappear. Just at this moment, Wang Lin's mind trembled and his storage space opened without his will. Then a woman walked out. This woman was wearing silver. It was the silver corpse. She walked out from the storage space and looked at the golden thread with confusion in her eyes. Looking at the golden thread that had broken through the void and disappeared, she raised her hand and gently reached out. Space rumbled and time seemed to reverse. The gold thread that had disappeared reappeared once more. It continued to struggle without any effect and was caught by the woman in silver. The moment the golden thread landed in the woman in silver's hand, it trembled violently as if it didn't dare to struggle. The woman in silver looked at the golden thread for a long time. There was still confusion in her eyes, and she gently squeezed it. With a pinch, the golden thread collapsed into golden mist and entered her orifices as if it were being devoured by her. Wang Lin squinted his eyes as he looked at everything before him. He had long wondered about her identity, but there were too few clues to guess who she was. However, from Taoist water's shock and fear from seeing her, Wang Lin knew that the silver corpse's identity wasn't simple. How could this kind of person become a refined corpse by the Cultivation Alliance? How did the Cultivation Alliance get her body? Wang Lin looked at the familiar silver corpse. Her eyes were still filled with confusion as she looked into the distance. No one knew what she was thinking. After a long time, Wang Lin calmly asked, Do you remember who you are? The woman in silver silently pondered as she looked back at Wang Lin. The confusion in her eyes became even stronger, and she gently shook her head. I only felt like the aura inside that golden thread was very familiar. Wang Lin's eyes shined as he carefully examined the woman and suddenly said, "Could it be you, one of the 8 ancient imperial concubines?" As he spoke, his eyes were like lightning as he stared at her eyes. After hearing those words, the confusion in her eyes became even stronger, and she softly said, "No memory ever since I awakened, I can remember." There was pain in her expression. She shook her head and turned toward the storage space. It was as if that was the only place where she could silently cultivate and not think about herself. However, the moment she was about to enter the spatial crack, she stopped. There was a trace of clarity in her confused eyes. She hesitated for a bit and turned toward Wang Lin. "Although I can remember a lot of things, I vaguely know something. I can see that you have some Joss flames in your body. I vaguely remember that Joss flame is a poison. It was a heavenly scam I seem to have. Lost everything due to it." The storage space crack shrank and disappeared after the woman in silver entered. However, her words set off a huge wave inside Wang Lin's mind, and his eyes shined brightly. From the Lord of the Sealed Realm, Taoist Water, and Tao Master Blue Dream, he had learned that Joss flames was the key to reaching the 3rd step and the key to nourishing his essences. He had gradually come to this conclusion himself, but right now the woman in silver's words were the complete opposite. For some unknown reason, Wang Lin felt a chill. He looked up at the sky and began to ponder. Poison scam. After pondering for a while, Wang Lin merged with the world. The woman in white has died and become a soul in my wind and rain world. There should be no one paying attention to me for now. This way, I have a chance of completing my essences. Wang Lin merged with the world and his divine sense spread out. According to the memories of the Outer Realm cultivators I devoured, the Scatter Thunder Clan doesn't have a 3rd step cultivator. There is a bolt of lightning that has existed since the beginning of time. And it is the clan's holy object. It is also the source that allows the clan to control thunder. If I devour this thunder, it will allow my thunder essence to grow. As for Joss flames in the end, which of them is telling the truth? Wang Lin used spatial bending to appear in a foreign star domain. There was a flash of coldness in his eyes. Whether it is true or false, I should be extremely vigilant. I have never relied on any Joss flames in my cultivation. I have comprehend my own Tao, and even my essences were created without relying on the so-called Joss flames. Wang Lin's body merged with the world again as he moved toward where the Scatter Thunder Clan was. 4,000 words in a major chapter. Read an extra 1,000 words, wishing for the like button on the video to help. Chapter 1328. Possession. Among the vastness of space within the ancient star system, there was a star domain filled with thunder. This was where the famous Scatter Thunder Clan was located. From afar, the Scatter Thunder Clan's star domain was like a giant thunder lake. Even from far away, one could hear the thunderous rumbles of the eternal thunder. These rumbles were fierce, and all fierce beasts avoided the area. If someone got close without the Scatter Thunder Clan token, they would immediately be attacked. Millions of bolts of thunder descending at once had shocking power. This was one of the reasons why the Scatter Thunder Clan could be one of the big clans in the ancient star system without a 3rd step. Cultivator! Similarly, the Scatter Thunder Clan had a glorious past. Countless years ago, they were one of the clans that placed a treasure in the Sealed Realm formation. There was an eternal thunderbolt within the Scatter Thunder Clan. It had existed since the beginning of time and had appeared from the void. It rumbled endlessly, and the Scatter Thunder Clan built a temple there to worship the thunderbolt. The location of the temple was the holy land of the Scatter Thunder Clan, and it was extremely well guarded, making it very difficult for ordinary people to get close. There were always elders there, and although they had no 3rd step cultivator, there was one person at the 5th heaven's blight, the strongest person under 3rd step cultivators. For Wang Lin, the Scatter Thunder Clan was like a steel wall. There were many powerful cultivators, and like the Tattoo Clan in the past, just one clan was enough to set off a chaotic war in the inner realm. Every Scatter Thunder Clan member cultivated the Tao of thunder. They believed that there were 6 types of thunder. If they could cultivate them all, they could split the world and inherit the true meaning of ancient thunder. They would then obtain the origin of thunder and climb into the 3rd step. However, since ancient times, very few people had entered the 3rd step. Over the countless years of the Scatter Thunder Clan's existence, Only one person had reached the third step during their glorious past. Even without a third step cultivator, breaking into the Scatter Thunder clan was more difficult than climbing the heavens. Wang Lin calmly stood before the Scatter Thunder clan's star domain. Before him was the flashing and roaring thunder. It was like a thunder lake with bolts of thunder moving like silver snakes dancing. At a glance, it could shake the hearts of most cultivators and make them not dare to take a single step forward. This place was several times stronger than the thunder lake Wang Lin had encountered in Al-Heaven. Before he got close, he could clearly feel all the hair on his body being pulled by a magnetic force. Even the space outside this thunder lake was filled with the power of thunder, and could occasionally explode into bursts of thunder. If it was back when Wang Lin was in Al-Heaven, even after he devoured half an ancient thunder dragon and obtained the ancient thunder dragon origin soul, it would have been extremely difficult to enter. He would likely have to retreat, or else the thunder would kill him before the Scatter Thunder clan had to do anything. However, after absorbing the power of thunder from the Scatter Thunder clan's statue, the Tao fruit, and then giving birth to his thunder essence, Wang Lin's control of thunder had reached a terrifying degree. He silently looked ahead, and after a long time he entered the Scatter Thunder clan's star domain. The Scatter Thunder clan didn't have anyone guarding the perimeter, as the eternal thunder was the best protection. Wang Lin slowly moved forward. His arrival didn't attract any attention from the Scatter Thunder clan. Wang Lin slowly crossed 50 kilometers in about 7 minutes. Every step he took, the hair on his body trembled, and traces of thunder entered his body through every single pore. His mind was calm, without any joy or sorrow. It was as if he had entered a realm of emptiness. There was no Scatter Thunder clan before him, only that boundless thunder lake. At the center of this thunder lake was the eternal thunder. After crossing 50 kilometers, he stepped into the thunder lake. The thunder lake roared and thunder filled Wang Lin's eyes, replacing everything. This unexpectedly lit up the surrounding space. Like the dawn on a cultivation planet, the bolts of thunder swam through the thunder lake and surrounded Wang Lin, creating a thunderous rumble. Wang Lin's left foot was inside the thunder lake, and half his body was in as well. Endless numbers of silver snakes rushed over toward his left foot. As they surrounded him, they filled his body. If it was anyone else, their body would immediately explode, and their origin soul would be extinguished due to not being able to withstand this indescribable thunder. Even their storage space would be shattered this thunder, and all the treasures inside would lose their effects. Wang Lin closed his eyes and his body became covered in thunder. The thunder lake was like a big mouth devouring Wang Lin. This caused him to be covered in endless thunder. Thunderous rumbles continued to echo, while Wang Lin's body remained motionless, with half a foot inside the thunder lake. Time slowly passed. In the blink of an eye, 15 minutes went by. Just at this moment, a huge wave was set off in this massive thunder lake and a roar echoed. Wang Lin's eyes suddenly opened and there was a thunder mark flashing rapidly within one of them. In just the blink of an eye, it flashed thousands of times. Every time it flashed, the roar of the thunder would become stronger, and soon everything was replaced by the roar of thunder. Wang Lin took a step forward and entered the Scatter Thunder clan. The moment he entered, the thunder lake inside the Scatter Thunder clan roared violently, and large amounts of thunder swam like crazy. Wang Lin slowly walked forward. As he moved forward, all the thunder under his feet seemed to cheer and then enter his body. Wang Lin was like a thunder celestial as the thunder gathered in his right eye, causing the thunder mark to become more and more clear. He moved forward for an unknown amount of time and entered the inner part of the Scatter Thunder clan. The thunder here roared even more intensely, and it covered everything. Here, not even divine sense could penetrate, and vision was torn apart. Wang Lin sat down and began to cultivate as more and more thunder gathered in his body. Thunder gathered from all directions, and the violent rumble stirred up the entire thunder lake. Wang Lin's aura slowly faded until it completely disappeared. Although he was just sitting there, if someone closed their eyes before him, they wouldn't be able to detect him at all. At this moment, Wang Lin had become a bolt of thunder and fused with the thunder lake, so there was no way to tell that he wasn't part of it. After a long time, a thunder mark flew out from Wang Lin's closed right eye. It was too fast and instantly entered the thunder lake. It quickly swam away. This thunder mark looked like a normal bolt of thunder, but as it moved, all the thunder in the thunder lake had to make way and guide it. This allowed this bolt of thunder to move faster and faster. The boundless thunder lake was like a huge ring, At the deepest part there was no thunder, but 16 cultivation planets. From afar, these cultivation planets were filled with thunder as if they were condensed from bolts of thunder. They were arranged in a circle, and at the center was a broken continent. This broken continent looked as if someone had broken it off from a complete continent. The edges were jagged, and there was still gravel floating around the edges. This broken continent was completely black without any life. However, every Scatter Thunder Clan member knew that that broken continent had been there for as far as they could remember, and it was their holy land. There was a heaven-piercing temple on that continent. A bolt of thunder was sticking out of the void and touching the top of the temple. It had never disappeared over the countless years. That thunderbolt was completely black. If you looked closely, you would see that there were countless colors within. These colors fused together from this thunder. One of the 16 cultivation planets had an earth yellow color. On this cultivation planet, there were countless caves. There were tens of thousands of caves, big and small. This was where the adults of the Scatter Thunder Clan cultivated. In the Scatter Thunder Clan, once one becomes an adult and reaches a certain cultivation level, they leave the 3 mother planets, go to the 13 remaining cultivation planets. They could search for their own cave, be gifted one, open their own, or even steal one. The members of the clan could fight with each other, but no killing was allowed. If someone were to kill, they would be severely punished, but as long as no one died, everything was fine. This way of cruel infighting cultivated generations of clan members. The weak will be eliminated. At this moment, on this earth yellow planet, there was a young in black with a bloody wound on his chest walking through the plains with his head lowered. There was no edge to the earth before him. His current mood was cowardly with a hint of sorrow. I hate myself for not having good talent. I hate myself for being a cultivator. I hate myself for being a member of the Scatter Thunder Clan, the youth muttered, his expression twisted. His excited mood shook his injuries, causing him to cough out blood. He fell to the ground and looked at the flashing thunder in the sky. The sorrow in his eyes became even stronger. I don't want to become a cultivator. I want to live the life of a mortal. The young man's eyes became lax, but he struggled to lift his right hand and look at his fingers. A moment later, madness filled his eyes, and with the last of his strength, he reached toward the thunder mark between his eyebrows and mercilessly pulled. Blood and flesh splattered. He actually ripped off the Scatter Thunder Clan mark between his eyebrows. He gradually closed his eyes with a miserable smile. He couldn't see that the moment his eyes closed, a bolt of thunder broke through the void and appeared in the sky as if it had perceived his existence. After a slight pause, it charged toward the wound between his eyebrows. Brothers, have you not yet hit the like button for the VIDEO? Wish that the like button for the VIDEO would be hit. Chapter 1329, Scatter Thunder Clan. The thunder suddenly descended and entered the young man, causing him body to tremble. His dissipating soul and vitality suddenly stopped and rapidly contracted as if they were being imprisoned. The wound he had torn open between his eyebrows quickly healed, and even the wound on his chest recovered in a short period of time. The thunder mark between his eyebrows had reappeared and was giving off a ghostly glow. After a long time, the youth slowly opened his eyes. There was no cowardice and sorrow anymore. They were replaced with coldness and age. It was as if these eyes had seen everything in the world, discovered the true meaning of life, and had survived for countless years. A cold aura came out of his body the moment the youth stood up. The youth had collapsed in a meadow, and right now all of the grass was bent over as if it didn't dare to stand straight. This body isn't bad. The youth sat up, moved his head, and stood up. A powerful cultivation moved within his body, and origin energy gathered from all directions. However, the body stayed at the core formation stage. There was no cultivation level increase or transformation done to the body. He was Wang Lin. To be more precise, it was a portion of Wang Lin's divine sense possessing this body. His original body was still fusing with the boundless Thunder Lake. Wang Lin wasn't so arrogant to think he could fight the entire Scatter Thunder Clan himself. The Scatter Thunder Clan was one of the powerful families of the ancient star system, so they had to have a lot of powerful cultivators. If Wang Lin directly rushed in to absorb the eternal thunder, the only thing awaiting him would be death. Therefore, Wang Lin had already made a plan. He was going to possess the body of a Scatter Thunder Clan member to absorb the eternal thunder. If he pretended to be a Scatter Thunder Clan member, there would be no issue, because he was someone who controlled thunder. In particular, he had possessed the body of someone who hadn't died, so it was foolproof. Wang Lin had even indirectly saved this person's life. After Wang Lin absorbed the eternal thunder and left, this person would regain control of his body. Depending on how long Wang Lin possessed this body, this person would receive a great fortune. With Wang Lin's cultivation level, he didn't need to worry about the initial period of adjustment after possessing, and he didn't intend to truly possess this body. After searching the memory of this body, Wang Lin learned that this person was named Yu Fei. He was a very ordinary Scatter Thunder Clan member. His parents had died early in his life, and he was left alone. After many difficulties, he had reached the core formation stage and inherited a cave his parents had left him. This cave was beside a spirit vein and was considered very good. However, with his cultivation level, there was no way he could keep it for long. 3 days after he inherited it, it was stolen and he was forced out. In the 200 years following that incident, his cultivation had been stagnant. If not for the Scatter Thunder Clan's physique, which gave him a little more lifespan, he would have died long ago. However, these 200 years were painful for him. He had been bullied by his clan and his life was worse than death. He had recently become under a nascent soul cultivator, and this was the same cultivation level as the cultivator that had taken his cave away all those years ago. Inside the cave was a thunder fruit tree left by Yu Fei's parents for him. The nascent soul cultivator had allowed Yu Fei to grow this thunder fruit. The thunder fruit could allow their clan mark to become even more powerful, and even their lifespan would increase. However, in order to make the fruit mature, a cultivator, at least at the core formation stage, would have to nourish it with the power of thunder. Yu Fei knew that his cultivation was stagnant, and his lifespan was near its end. After hesitating, he devoured one of the 9 thunder fruits, but this brought a calamity upon himself. If not for the rule that fellow clan members couldn't kill each other, he would have already been dead. However, he was greatly humiliated, and on top of suffering his serious injuries, his cultivation had been sucked away. He was then kicked out by the nascent soul cultivator. Yu Fei didn't have many memories, and most of them were extremely negative. There was a monstrous hatred. He hated himself. He hated the Scatter Thunder Clan. He hated all his clan members, and his personality was twisted. Wang Lin's divine sense left Yu Fei's memory, and his eyes lit up. Thunderfruit empowers the clan mark. After Wang Lin came to the ancient star system, he had devoured a lot of cultivators here, and gained an understanding of the cultivation methods here. The ancient star system was completely different from the inner realm. They didn't cultivate domains. Instead, one's cultivation was gathered in the mark between their eyebrows. This mark was a heritage. The stronger it became, the higher their cultivation level would be. Wang Lin touched the thunder mark between his eyebrows. This mark was made by Wang Lin himself. Although it looked the same as the Scatter Thunder Clan mark, the meaning was very different. The Scatter Thunder Clan's mark came from the eternal thunder. If the eternal thunder was a creature, then all the mark's extensions of that creature. However, Wang Lin's mark was made by himself, and it was of much higher in status than the Scatter Thunder Clan's mark. It was on the same level as the eternal thunder. I need to study the thunder fruit. As for the matter with the Scatter Thunder Clan, this Yu Fei's cultivation level is too low, so he doesn't know much. Perhaps that nascent soul cultivator will know more. Wang Lin pondered as he charged toward the location of the cave in his memory. This cultivation was very large. Wang Lin didn't teleport, but flew over the earth. His divine sense faintly spread out, and he began to observe. Not long after, 3 rays of light appeared before Wang Lin. There was a man and 2 women. The man was wearing white, and was very handsome. The 2 women behind him were very beautiful. As the 3 of them flew on flying swords, they seemed to be chatting. The man's cultivation level was decent, late-stage core formation. The 2 women were at the early stage of core formation. While the man was chatting, his gaze swept by Wang Lin. When he saw Wang Lin flying by without even looking at him, he frowned. "Yu Fei, come here." Wang Lin turned a deaf ear, and his divine sense swept across the earth. He seemed to have found some secret about this planet as he moved forward. When the man in white saw that Wang Lin was still ignoring him, there was a flash of coldness in his eyes. He let out a cold snort and turned around toward Wang Lin. He waved his right hand, and a thunder sword appeared from his bag of holding. It gave off bursts of thunder and shot toward Wang Lin. "Yu Fei, you got guts to not pay respects after seeing this lord." The thunder longsword rumbled loudly, but when it got near Wang Lin, it trembled and stopped in midair. Wang Lin withdrew his divine sense and coldly looked at the man in white. "Are you talking to me?" A simple sentence that anyone could say. Even though he looked like Yu Fei, the coldness in his gaze was like a boundless storm that swept the world. The man in white was rushing forward, but when he saw Wang Lin, he felt his core rumble. It was as if he had been hit by lightning and was caught in an endless world of ice. He felt like he had been completely seen through and no longer had any secrets. This terrified him to the point that his core stopped moving. Cracks appeared on it as if it couldn't withstand this gaze, and it was about to explode. The two women behind the man in white were originally looking at Wang Lin with taunting and teasing gazes. However, when Wang Lin turned around and said those words, they felt the world tremble. The clouds scattered, and the sky collapsed. It was as if the cowardly Yu Fei had turned into a ferocious, ancient beast that gave off a monstrous aura. Only one thought from him would be needed for them to die. The three of them felt a roar in their hearts, but the outside world was completely quiet. This quiet was extremely bizarre. The youth in white was pale and his eyes turned lax. He then revealed indescribable horror. Wang Lin frowned. With his cultivation level, he really wasn't willing to bully these Outer Realm juniors. He withdrew his gaze and walked away. It wasn't until after he had been gone for a long time that the youth in white coughed out a large mouthful of blood. The two women behind him also coughed out blood. There were countless cracks on their cores and they began to melt. The two women's faces were deathly pale, and their cultivation levels immediately fell from early-stage core formation to foundation establishment. As for the young man in white, his core also shattered. He looked at where Wang Lin disappeared with terror and shock. You. The three of them all looked at each other and remained speechless for a long time. They couldn't even have thoughts of resentment due to the fear that lingered in their hearts. The cave from Yu Fei's memory soon appeared before Wang Lin's eye. This cave was indeed good, and it was next to a spirit vein. Wang Lin could also see that there was a small river inside. This river flowed through the spirit vein and was very clear. There was faint spiritual energy coming from the river. There were some restrictions protecting the cave, but in Wang Lin's eyes, these restrictions were simply too weak. His expression was calm as he walked with his hands behind his back. With one step, he arrived outside the restrictions. He didn't even do anything, but the gate opened on its own. Wang Lin walked into the cave without any hesitation. Thunderous rumbles echoed and colorful lights flashed as all the restrictions activated when Wang Lin walked into the cave. Wang Lin didn't even look as he walked through the rumbling. There was an old man in green sitting 100 feet away from him. His eyes were wide open as he stared at the incoming Wang Lin, completely dumbfounded. His pupils revealed monstrous terror. Thank you all for the support, especially for the large golden gifts from Leo. Leo is so touched he could cry. By the end of this month, Leo's video is facing a challenge in the popular rankings. Hoping to get more likes for the video. Chapter 1330. Scatter Thunder Ranking. The old man stared directly at Wang Lin. He couldn't hide the terror and disbelief in his eyes. He was just cultivating when door to the cave just opened without him noticing anything. He had never encountered such a bizarre thing in his hundreds of years of cultivation. What made his skin crawl was the extremely familiar figure that had walked into the cave. There was a large amount of restriction in the cave, some from before and many placed by this old man over the years. Once all of them activated, a core formation cultivator would die for sure. As for nascent soul old monsters, if they were a bit careless, they would be seriously injured or even perish. But he watched the familiar figure slowly walk over under the flashes of restrictions and rumbling of spells. At this moment, the old man's scalp was numb. The other person's cold gaze made his nascent soul feel pain. That gaze seemed to turn solid and pierced countless holes in his body. Not even his nascent soul could escape. A powerful pressure came from that person, and each of his steps seemed to stomp on his nascent soul. The old man's face instantly paled and he trembled. Then he coughed out blood. He was terrified as he crawled back a few steps. He didn't even have time to get up. Yu Fei. Wang Lin made his way through the layers of restrictions and walked into the cave. His gaze swept past the nascent soul junior before examining the cave. This cave was not small. It had 6 stone rooms and went through the valley. There was also a small path that led into the valley. The sound of water flowing could be heard. It was the river that flowed in the valley. There was also a fragrance filling the cave. There were clearly a lot of spirit herbs planted here. This cave was very clean without any clutter. The stone walls were very smooth and could almost act as mirrors. There was a large formation slowly rotating on the ceiling of the cave. Once it was activated, the stone wall above would become transparent and allow one to see outside while in the cave. The nascent soul old man's heart pounded and he didn't dare to move. The disbelief in his eyes was still strong. In his eyes, Wang Lin was like the owner of the cave leisurely looking around, while he became the outsider, restless, and at a loss. Wang Lin looked up at the formation. Although it was rough in his eyes, there were still some intricacies to it. Just as he raised his head, there was a flash of killing intent in the old man's eyes, and he rushed out. He used the teleport spell that only nascent soul cultivators could use. Teleport was the most obvious difference between nascent soul and core formation cultivators. A nascent soul old monster with teleportation was powerful beyond belief to core formation cultivators. He appeared behind Wang Lin in a flash. He then opened his mouth and a ray of green light shot out. This green light contained a bolt of thunder. There were many ghostly wails coming from this thunder, and it shot directly at Wang Lin. The old man didn't even look at the result. After using his life treasure, he teleported again to escape the cave. However, just as he was about to escape, his eyes widened, his body froze in the air, and cold sweat rolled down his face. Wang Lin, who should have been behind him, suddenly appeared before him and coldly looked at him. "Did I let you go?" Wang Lin's 2 fingers were holding the green thunderbolt, and he waved his sleeve. The old man's body was knocked back, and he coughed out a mouthful of blood. He slammed into the wall. Eyes filled with panic, he exclaimed, How did you become so powerful?" Wang Lin gently squeezed with his 2 fingers, and the green thunderbolt immediately dissipated without a trace. This scene struck the old man's mind like a hammer. He was in shock, and his face became even more pale. His nascent soul weakened, and black blood flowed out of the corner of his mouth. "You can kill me. No killing is allowed within the clan. If you kill me, the elder of the family will." The old man was filled with fear. Wang Lin's strength was beyond his imagination. He didn't think a core formation cultivator he could bully at will and expel could become so powerful in just a few days. However, before he could finish speaking, Wang Lin's divine sense spread out, forming an invisible giant hand that pressed down on the old man's head to search his soul. With Wang Lin's power, the old man wasn't even qualified to resist. The old man's body trembled violently, and a moment later, he fell on the ground, unconscious. After looking through this nascent soul old man's memory, Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he began to ponder. He hadn't killed many people of the Scatter Thunder clan, but with all the memories he had just obtained, he had a fairly detailed understanding of the Scatter Thunder clan. They use this method of scattering them so they can learn to fight, learn the law of the jungle, and for a generation of leaders to be born. Aside from the 3 mother planets, where a large number of clan members simply live, the remaining 13 of the 16 planets are all trial grounds for the clan members. Every 100 years, there will be one spot to enter the Holy Land, and everyone on these planets needs to fight for it. Once they enter that Holy Land, and personally come into contact with that eternal thunderbolt, their mark will be empowered even more. It will cause the cultivation level of whoever enters to increase greatly. There are still 7 years until the next competition, however. The method the Scatter Thunder clan made for their clan members to compete is interesting. It isn't dependent on cultivation level or fighting skill, but on thunder crystals. In 7 years, the person with the most thunder crystals will be allowed to enter the Holy Land. This is an opportunity I can let pass. I will be allowed to just enter the Holy Land to absorb the eternal thunderbolt. Wang Lin's lit up, and his right hand reached at the void. The thunder mark between the old man's eyebrows flashed, and a jade flew out. The people of the ancient star system rarely used bags of holding. The marks between their eyebrows contained a storage space, and everything could be placed inside. With the jade in hand, Wang Lin easily saw its contents without damaging the divine sense mark on it. This jade contained a formation that was always active and vaguely merged with the world. The contents inside were constantly changing. It was a ranking list. This ranking list had a total of 800 names and a number behind each name. These numbers represented thunder crystals. There were obviously more than 800 people in the Scatter Thunder clan, but only the top 800 could enter this ranking list. Wang Lin looked at the top name on the list and frowned. 1,900,000,007,000. The person at the top was named Master Spruce, or 1,300,000,009,000. The rank 2 person was named Lotus. After quickly looking at the list, even rank 800 had more than 400,000 thunder crystals. As for the old man in the cave, he only had 70,000 thunder crystals, which was insignificant. Thunder crystals were not objects or just a name. There were many ways of obtaining them. The fastest way was to give tribute to the Scatter Thunder clan. Whether it was spells, pills, alchemy materials, and even Joss flames, they could all be exchanged for thunder crystals. Joss flames gave the most, and the rest would depend on the rank. This wasn't the first time he had encountered something like this. The Demon Spirit Land was similar, only they used war merit, and here they used thunder crystals. This way, the Scatter Thunder clan had mobilized the entire clan to gather. Not only would this improve the cultivation of clan members, but also allow them to accumulate resources. This is interesting. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and he waved his right hand. The mark between the old man's eyebrows was completely activated, and everything inside was taken by Wang Lin. Wang Lin didn't kill this old man. He naturally knew the Scatter Thunder clan was very strict on killing between clan members. Once there was a murder, someone would come to investigate. Wang Lin no longer paid any heed to the old man. He walked into the depths of the cave toward the valley. The sound of water flowing became even more clear. There was a small river flowing not far from him. There was a large amount of spirit herbs growing on both sides of the river. What attracted Wang Lin's attention the most was the faint trace of thunder coming from the plant growing on the wall of the valley. It grew 7 feet out from the wall and had 6 green fruits. Just as Wang Lin was observing the fruit, 4 rays of light were heading toward the cave. There were 4 old men, each standing on top of a flying sword each. None of them were weak, and one of them was at the mid-stage of nascent soul. There was a look of disdain on his face and his eyes were cold. One of the 3 men behind him pointed forward and said, "Uncle, Qiji's cave is just ahead. He is the only early nascent soul old monster within 5,000 kilometers, and he has stolen a lot of treasures over the years." The mid-stage nascent soul old man nodded and didn't seem to care as he slowly said, "Very good. Afterward, the 3 of you can go to the Heavenly Thunder Sect to collect your benefits. In exchange for helping my Heavenly Thunder Sect, you will naturally not be treated badly." The 3 core formation cultivators' eyes were filled with joy. The person who spoke quickly said his thanks and laughed. "Uncle will surely be able to trade for a lot of thunder crystals with these treasures. Then your status at the Heavenly Thunder Sect will be a lot higher." The mid-stage nascent soul cultivator looked at the core formation cultivator and softly said, "I won't be using those thunder crystals for myself. I'll give them to the sect master. My Heavenly Thunder Sect's sect master is very close to the Scatter Thunder ranking. Soon, he will enter the rankings." After he spoke, the 3 core formation cultivators were shocked, and they became even more respectful. As time goes on, a heavy dizziness is setting in. My mind can't cope. Tomorrow I will continue to burst forth with all my might. In 12 hours that will be doubling the likes for the video, hoping that everyone is ready with 2 likes for Leo. Thank you. Chapter 1331. For Senior. There were tiny lightning bolts swarming around each of the thunder fruits inside the valley. "This is the thunder fruit." Wang Lin reached out, and one of the fruits flew into his hand. He carefully looked at the green fruit, and it did contain some thunder power. It could improve the body inside and out, making it more suitable for using thunder spells. In Qiji and Yufei's memory, this thunder fruit can be exchanged for 1 thunder crystal. Wang Lin looked at the fruit but didn't swallow it. Instead, he crushed the fruit, and a small flash of thunder appeared and was absorbed by his right hand into his origin soul. Wang Lin closed his eyes and silently observed the power of thunder from the fruit. A moment later, he opened his eyes. They were filled with thunder. His gaze penetrated the valley to outside the cave and he muttered, "I was going to go steal, but I didn't expect someone to deliver themselves to me." At this moment, the 4 rays of light arrived near the cave. Without the need for the nascent soul old man to speak, one of the core formation cultivators walked out and shouted, "Qiji, the Heavenly Thunder Sect is here. Come out and greet us." This voice echoed for a long time inside the cave. The nascent soul old man looked down at the restrictions outside the cave and frowned. When Wang Lin walked through, He didn't activate any and found them insignificant. However, to this old man, they were very intricate. He faintly felt a sense of crisis. Since this Qi was able to become a nascent soul old monster, he can be underestimated. Just the restrictions outside the cave are not simple. He stopped the core formation cultivator from speaking and gloomily said, "Fellow cultivator Qi, I am Chu Dahai, one of the 4 grand elders of the Heavenly Thunder sect. Today, I became because my sect master will soon reach the Scatter Thunder rankings. I ask fellow cultivator QI to donate some magical treasures and pills." His voice was gloomy, and he had spread out his entire mid-stage nascent soul cultivation into his voice, letting it drift into the cave. Just as his voice echoed, the door to the cave rumbled and opened. Something was thrown out. It was Qi, who was in a coma. This sudden scene startled the 3 core formation cultivators and caused Chu Dahai's pupils to shrink. "Are you looking for him?" A cold voice came from inside the cave, and following the voice was Wang Lin in white. As he calmly and slowly walked outside, a faint pressure spread out. You Fei." One of the core formation cultivators apparently recognized Yu Fei at a glance. However, under this pressure, his core trembled and his voice was filled with disbelief. The nascent soul old man stared at Wang Lin. His nascent soul trembled, and he had a bad feeling. Wang Lin was standing right there, but when his divine sense swept by, he found nothing. It was as if this person didn't exist. He had only felt this feeling from his sect master. However, he had a feeling that even if his sect master was here, his sect master wouldn't be able to detect this person at all. What made his scalp numb even more was the pressure coming from this person. This pressure was extremely strong, and under this pressure, he felt the spiritual energy inside his body stop. Those cold words seemed to contain a tearing force that was going to rip him from the inside out. Cold sweat covered his forehead, and Chu Dahai swallowed hard. He slowly backed away and clasped his hands. "This old man doesn't know this Qi, and this is my first time meeting him. Since fellow cultivator was here first, then this old man will leave. It's all a misunderstanding, a misunderstanding." He suppressed the trembling of his nascent soul and slowly retreated. He felt that this person was too powerful for him to resist. It was best to let him go and return back to the sect. The 3 core formation cultivators also felt like something was wrong. They retreated in terror and were about to leave this place. "You just going to leave like this?" Wang Lin revealed a smile that wasn't a smile and looked at the 4 of them. This gaze made Chu Dahai's heart skip a beat, and he didn't hesitate to wave his hand to push the 3 core formation cultivators toward Wang Lin as a shield. He quickly retreated and was covered in cold sweat when he was about to teleport away. The Scatter Thunder clan didn't allow clan members to kill each other, but you could waste their cultivation or kill indirectly. This old man knew all of this very well, and he had done it many times. At this moment, he was terrified, and his first thought was to escape. Wang Lin ignored that teleporting nascent soul cultivators and waved his right hand. Those 3 core formation cultivators all screamed miserably as the marks between their eyebrows collapsed and large amounts of treasures flew out. Wang Lin put them all away before stepping into the sky. The 3 core formation cultivators coughed out blood and fell to the ground one by one. Their cores all collapsed. Although they weren't dead, their cultivation had been wasted. Chu Dahai had heard those mournful cries after he teleported. The chill in his head had increased, and he didn't hesitate to teleport away. When he reappeared, he was already far away. The moment he reappeared, he teleported once more. After doing this several times, he had used almost all the spiritual energy in his body, but he didn't dare to stop. He took some pills and teleported once more. Wang Lin's figure and voice became a dark cloud that weighted heavily on his nascent soul. He feared that he was too slow and would get caught. He teleported more than 10 times and rushed out more than 50,000 kilometers. During this time, he had devoured a large amount of pills and could be said to be running for his life. He had even crushed the jade from his sect to summon help from surrounding sect members. There were many small sects like the Heavenly Thunder sect. The clan would naturally not interfere and would actually encourage people to form and join sects. Chu Dahai was covered in cold sweat, short of breath, and had teleported many times. After a teleport, there was a flash of light before him and a middle-aged man in green walked out. He frowned and looked at Chu Dihai. Elder Qiu, what did you encounter to make you so scared that you even called for help? After Chu Dihai saw the middle-aged man, he felt relieved, but it didn't answer the question. He immediately looked back and his divine sense spread out behind him. Only after he found no trace of Wang Lin did he let out a wry smile. He looked at the middle-aged man and was about to speak. However, just at this instant, a voice that made Chu Dihai lose his wits appeared like the cold wind. Not going to run? Chu Dihai felt his scalp go numb and his eyes filled with monstrous panic. He no longer dared to talk with the middle-aged man and immediately began to teleport away. The middle-aged man was also startled. When Wang Lin's voice echoed, he felt like his nascent soul was hit by a hammer and coughed out blood. After seeing Chu Dihai's behavior, endless terror arose inside him, and he didn't hesitate to teleport away like Chu Dihai. If the two of you split apart, I'll destroy both your cultivations. The two of them ran like crazy and teleported non-stop, using all the pills they had. They didn't dare to stop or separate from each other. However, after teleporting a few times, the consumption of spiritual energy was too great for the two of them to bear. Chu Dihai, you provoked such a person, and then dragged me into it. The middle-aged man gnashed his teeth as he escaped and stared with Chu Dihai with anger. Chu Dihai's face was pale and filled with fear. He wanted to speak, but the voice that made the two of them panic echoed once more. Keep asking for help and call all the nascent soul cultivators of your heavenly thunder sect. Take me to your heavenly thunder sect, otherwise I'll waste your cultivation. The middle-aged man took out a jade and crushed it to request for help before Chu Dihai. He hated Chu Dihai to the bones, and if he couldn't drag more people down with him, he couldn't vent the anger in his heart. After 1 hour, an extremely strange scene unfolded on this planet. 4 nascent soul cultivators were escaping in panic. 3 of them revealed intense hatred along with the panic. Wang Lin calmly walked behind the 4 of them. Along the way, as Chu Dihai and company had called for help, the other 2 elders arrived. The 4 of them escaped together and had to listen to Wang Lin's request to escape toward the heavenly thunder sect. A mountain appeared in the distance. This mountain wasn't big, but there were clouds around it. There were also stone steps winding from the peak. There was some building on top of the mountain. It had the look of a sect. When the 4 terrified cultivators brought Wang Lin here, Chu Dihai quickly said with a trembling voice, "Send Senior, this is the heavenly thunder sect." Along the way, the 4 of them had been forced to rush as fast as they could. Adding the panic and terror they felt, their minds were tormented the entire way. Wang Lin looked at the mountain and waved his right hand. A gust of wind appeared and wrapped around the 4 nascent soul cultivators. The 4 of them let out screams and their thunder marks were broken open. Large amounts of treasures flew out of them. Wang Lin put them away, and at the same time the gust of wind smashed through the clouds and the 4 of them landed at the square of the heavenly thunder sect. The entire heavenly thunder sect was completely silent. Some of the weaker cultivators were originally cultivating in the square. After seeing the 4 head elders being tossed into the square, they were speechless. "Senior, you finally came." In this silence, a person suddenly charged out. He was thin and looked ordinary, but he was at the early stage of soul formation. His eyes were crystal clear as he looked at Wang Lin with excitement in his eyes. When I saw Senior, my heart couldn't settle down for a long time. Senior's cultivation is heaven-piercing and your style is unmatched. In that short moment, I felt as if I had seen Senior many reincarnation cycles ago. I couldn't calm myself and only wanted to see Senior a bit more before my lifespan ended. Every time I looked, the spiritual energy in my body would move on its own, and even my cultivation would increase, as if I had devoured countless thunderfruits. Only someone like Senior would have such an ability. Not even the elders of the Scatter Thunder clan, not even the clan head could compare to Senior when they were at your age. Senior Junior asks for nothing, and is willing to hand over everything I have collected to Senior. I only hope that Senior would let me stay with Senior so I can see Senior often and witness Senior's rise. Let me be Senior's lackey. Let me clear the path. Let me slaughter all of Senior's enemies. Let me dedicate my life to Senior until my death. Even with Wang Lin's cultivation, he couldn't help but be startled by these words from the skinny man, and he couldn't help but think of Shu Liguo. In truth, it was not only him. If any other cultivator were to see this, they would be stunned on the spot. The second watch has come. So thankful for the praise from the new clan leader. Last night Leo started from the starting point, immediately saw a new follower. I'm ecstatic. Thank you everyone. Chapter 1332, Arch Rival. The skinny cultivator had spewed out a lot of words, and they were all filled with sincerity. Below him, the members of the sect were all gobsmacked. They had been in the Heavenly Thunder sect for a while, but they had never seen their always majestic and domineering sect master speak words like this. Wang Lin's always calm expression turned into a strange smile when he heard the words of the skinny cultivator. The skinny cultivator didn't reveal any hint of falsehood, as if everything he had said was natural and true. His expression really made it difficult for Wang Lin to attack and waste his cultivation. With Wang Lin's wisdom, he had naturally seen through that this was all the skinny cultivator's plan. The skinny cultivator knew that he couldn't resist, and this was the only way to keep his cultivation. What is your name? Wang Lin landed on the ground like a willow leaf fluttering in the wind. He stood at the center of the Heavenly Thunder sect's square. Answer. My name is Zhong Big Red. Zhong like little Zhong and Red like little Red. Junior has only ever respected one person. Let me clear the path. The skinny cultivator was going to continue when he was interrupted by Wang Lin. Enough. Hand over everything you have gathered that can be used to exchange for thunder crystals. Although Big Red looked calm, he was scared out of his wits. Earlier, he was cultivating in the main hall when he heard 4 heavy objects smash into the square. His divine sense spread out to find his 4 head elders thrown to the ground with their cultivations wasted. He was startled and became furious. However, that anger completely disappeared when he saw Wang Lin, and he trembled. He was at the early stage of soul formation, and although he didn't cultivate domains like inner realm cultivators, his mark was 30% active. Also, due to his cultivation level, he had come into contact with other cultivators, and the highest level one he had met was at the ascendant stage. When he sensed Wang Lin, he was terrified to the point that it felt like the world was going to fall apart. This feeling was several times more powerful than when he met the ascendant cultivator. Luckily, he was extremely clever and didn't hesitate to change that terror into excitement, followed by his rapid flattery. He had only used this trick 3 times in his life. The first time was when he was at the foundation establishment stage and had to resolve a crisis. The second time was when he was at the nascent soul stage. He escaped from the ascendant cultivator with mere a scare, and had even obtained some benefits. This was the 3rd time he had used this invincible art. In Big Red's point of view, out of all his spells, this invincible art was his true ace, and it could save him at critical moments. So he had practiced it in secret until he was extremely proficient at it. It was his ace, so he only ever used it as a last resort. When he heard Wang Lin's order, he quickly formed a seal and hit the mark between his eyebrows. There was a flash, and things that could be exchanged for thunder crystals flew out until they formed a small mountain. Senior, this is everything Junior has gathered over the years. Although there isn't anything extremely valuable, there are a lot of things. Junior estimates that these should be worth around 50,000 thunder crystals. After he spoke, he carefully observed Wang Lin's expression. When he saw Wang Lin frown, he immediately became terrified. Then he clenched his teeth and quickly spoke. Senior Junior also has some treasures to give Senior. As he spoke, his right hand hit his mark once more and 3 more items flew out. The first was a branch as thick as an arm, but it was flashing with thunder. The second was a pill that gave off a green glow. The third was an ancient mirror. These 3 items are things Junior had specially prepared for Senior. Just these 3 can be exchanged for 10,000 thunder crystals. Wang Lin looked at Big Red with a smile that wasn't a smile. His gaze made Big Red's scalp numb, and just as he was about to speak, Wang Lin waved his sleeves, causing everything that could be exchanged for thunder crystals to disappear. No one had noticed him open a spatial crack, and a divine sense filled with ecstasy rushed out of it. Master, you finally remembered me. Little Shu has been teaching that Lu Jinbiao a lesson all these years and hasn't been lazy at all. Although Shu Liguo's cry had come from the storage space crack, to everyone else, it seemed to have come from the void. At the same time, Shu Liguo appeared in the Heavenly Thunder sect. After Big Red heard Shu Liguo's voice, his eyes narrowed as if he had met the most powerful enemy in his life. Master, I have been following your order and have been tormenting Lu Jinbiao. That old boy is actually quite pitiful. He could have offended anyone, but he had to offend my mighty, handsome, and powerful master. The moment Shu Liguo appeared, he didn't even look at his surroundings. His face was filled with flattery as he rubbed his hands and stared at Wang Lin with a pitiful expression. Wang Lin's expression was neutral, but Big Red felt his heart skip a bit. His pupils shrank as he shot Shu Liguo a stare filled with hostility. He had only faintly felt that Shu Liguo was a powerful enemy, but now it was clear. This person had the same invincible art as him. Seeing how the other was able to embody the invincible arts in just a few words, it was a level above his long speech. Arch-rival. This person must be my arch-rival. Big Red took a deep breath and began to observe. Master, please don't send me back too quickly. Considering how loyal and hard-working little Shu has been, Shu Liguo revealed a mournful expression. Big Red looked at Shu Liguo, and his expression became even more serious. Even his expression contains the true meaning of the invincible art. Wang Lin revealed a smile that wasn't a smile, as his gaze moved between Shu Liguo and Big Red. The reason he had summoned Shu Liguo was somewhat related to Big Red. Perhaps it would be better for Shu Liguo to gather thunder crystals in the Scatter Thunder Clan for me. Wang Lin made up his mind. Then he nodded slightly and slowly said, "If you do this well, we can talk about it." With that, Wang Lin sent out a message to Shu Liguo, giving his order, and as Shu Liguo listened, his body began to tremble. He was trembling due to excitement, and after Wang Lin finished, he looked up with excitement and laughed. "No one is better than your grand heir, little Shu. Master, rest assured, a mere billion thunder crystals, leave it to me." The bad feeling inside Big Red became even stronger. He quickly took a few steps forward, looked at Wang Lin with a respectful gaze, and said, "Senior, Junior hasn't finished speaking. Junior still has a treasure that can be exchanged for 10,000 thunder crystals. Only someone like Senior can possess such a treasure." After he spoke, he hit his mark again, and there was a flash of light. A flying sword flew out and gave off a chilling aura. Wang Lin revealed a smile as he nodded slightly and put the flying sword away. Shu Liguo looked around and then looked at Big Red. He hadn't paid attention to the surrounding people earlier, but now he immediately felt that something was wrong. This person is giving off a faint scent of shamelessness, however. It is far from a match for your Grandpa Shu. Grandpa Shu has been flattering this fiend since before you were even born. Shu Liguo revealed a kind smile as he looked at Big Red and smiled. "Fellow cultivator is?" Big Red looked at Shu Liguo with the same smile and clasped his hands. "I am Zhong Big Red. Zhong as in Big Zhong and Red as in Big Red." Their gazes collided at this instant. The smile on Shu Liguo remained unchanged as he withdrew his gaze. Just as he was about to speak, Big Red was a step ahead and said with a look of flattery, "Senior Junior's Heavenly Thunder Sect has a lot of people. Let me get the things they have to exchange for thunder crystals to give to Senior." After he spoke, he turned around and roared at the Heavenly Thunder Sect members who were gobsmacked at the scene before them. Under his pressure, everything that could be exchanged for thunder crystals was gathered by Big Red and handed to Wang Lin. Wang Lin put it all away, then his eyes flashed an indiscernible amount. He waved his right hand and took out a pill. He casually took out pill he didn't know the value of. It was a pill he had refined from the soul of a rank beast in the Cloud Sea. However, when Big Red saw this, his eyes widened, and he exclaimed, "Soul pill! This pill can be exchanged for at least 20,000 thunder crystals and is extremely rare." Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and he waved his hand. The pill landed in Big Red's hand. "I give this pill to you. From now on, you will help me collect things to exchange for thunder crystals," Wang Lin said gently. He wasn't going to trade for thunder crystals with his own pills because he would be making the Scatter Thunder Clan more powerful. Instead, he was going to use Big Red to collect treasures from the Scatter Thunder Clan members and use their own possessions to trade for thunder crystals. Big Red took a deep breath. He held the pill and immediately said, "Senior, rest assured Junior will do his best." Shu Liguo stared at Big Red with hostility in his gaze. Although he didn't care for the pill, this Big Red was uncomfortable to look at, and his gaze became vicious. "Damn it, you dare to fight with your Grandpa Shu for favor before this fiend? Little brat, you've got guts. Just you wait, your Grandpa Shu will remember you." In almost 2,000 years, none that have tried to fight with your Grandpa Shu for this fiend's favor has had a good fate. Your Grandpa Shu has plenty of time to kill you. I'm going to torment you to death like I tormented Lu Jinbiao. Shu Liguo's eyes lit up and he revealed a dark smile. The new chapter is late, but it has over 500 more words than the previous ones. I hope not to be hit. Wishing for the like button for the video. Chapter 1333. This is the life. Time slowly passed on this Scatter ThunderClan planet. In the blink of an eye, Wang Lin had been here for a month now. During this month, he didn't return to the cave but chose to cultivate in the Heavenly ThunderClan. Over the past month, Shu Liguo and Big Red had begun gathering a large amount of items that could be traded for thunder crystals, with the Heavenly Thunder sect as the center. With everything that had been gathered, Wang Lin could trade for 100,000 thunder crystals. Shu Liguo rarely got to leave the storage space, so he was extremely excited and began a campaign outside the Heavenly Thunder sect. He didn't like to act alone, so he always took more than 10 Foundation Establishment Heavenly Thunder sect disciples, and they moved like locusts. He had used an unknown method to take any core formation cultivator he found under his command. In just 1 month, there were almost 100 Scatter ThunderClan members under him. Shu Liguo seemed to have learned this from somewhere, but he had made them make him a giant bamboo throne. It was 1,000 feet wide and shined brightly with Shu Liguo sitting on top. He also had 4 Scatter ThunderClan female cultivators accompany him. He was extremely arrogant. The dozens of cultivators carried this throne forward. There were also dozens of cultivators on all sides. While moving forward, Shu Liguo especially chose 2 very loud core formation cultivators to roar non-stop. Grandpa Shu is here. He is imposing, magnificent, unrivaled, handsome, and incomparable. This voice was like thunder. Shu Liguo laughed loudly and felt extremely proud. He was leaning on one female cultivator while eating a fruit from another female cultivator and drinking wine. There were 2 more female cultivators gently massaging his faintly corporeal body. This enjoyment made Shu Liguo very excited. Aside from the 4 female cultivators, there were also 4 very handsome men. They were half kneeling there, also serving Shu Liguo. This is the life. This is the life Shu Liguo should enjoy. That fiend has been going left and right for 2,000 years, but it is Grandpa Shu who is truly happy. Haha, it's your Grandpa Shu who is smart. Life should be enjoyed. As Shu Liguo listened to the roars filled with flattery for himself and enjoyed being served by the female and male cultivators, his entire body felt good. His eyes squinted and he couldn't help but feel melancholy. How long has it been since I've felt this happy, damn it? If not for that fiend catching me, I could have enjoyed this happy life for years now. Well, maybe my lifespan would have ended by now. Forget it. What's the use of thinking so much? I must make up for all the life I missed in these 2,000 years. There are too few women. If there can be 101,000, it should be perfect. Add 1,000 handsome men and 10,000 people carrying the throne to roar together for me. That would be perfect. To reach this goal, Grandpa Shu will have to work hard. Shu Liguo was in high spirits. Just at this moment, there was a ray of light flying toward him, and there was a core formation cultivator inside. This person got within 100 feet of the throne and loudly said, "Great Immortal is imposing, magnificent, unrivaled, handsome, and incomparable." With that, he took a breath and quickly said, 50 kilometers ahead is the cave of the late-stage nascent soul old monster Chen Dongfeng. He seems to have noticed something and has already activated the restrictions. Shu Liguo pinched the face of a female cultivator beside him and proudly said, "Continue moving forward. I'll let you all see how Grandpa Shu deals with a mere nascent soul cultivator." The 50-kilometer distance was crossed quickly. The giant throne covered the sun, creating a huge shadow over the mountain, and gave off a powerful pressure. There was a cave in the middle of the mountain. There was a large amount of restrictions at the entrance sealing the cave. There were also 8 small flags around the mountain, spinning rapidly and creating black fog. After the throne closed in, Shu Liguo had a self-satisfied look as he slowly raised his right hand. Only after attracting the gazes of all the surrounding cultivators did he wave his hand. With a wave of his hand, the world rumbled and countless sword shadows appeared in the air. The moment they appeared, they let out endless sword hymns, and sword energy scattered everywhere, pushing the clouds apart. Even the world dimmed. Shu Liguo was the sword spirit who had obtained the inheritance of the ancient sword intent. Although he was lazy when he was sealed in the 4 divine sect by Wang Lin, he was forced to cultivate. not to mention a mere nascent soul cultivator, ascendant, yin and yang, and even nirvana scryer cultivators were no match for Shu Liguo. With a wave of his hand, as the world rumbled, endless sword energy appeared. The sword energy was extremely dense and made all the surrounding cultivators tremble as if they were surrounded in never-melting ice. Endless sword energy fell on the mountain. The black fog around the mountain immediately collapsed, and when the 8 small flags were going to explode, Shu Liguo grabbed them. That fiend said that no treasure can be damaged. These can be traded for thunder crystals. The sword energy broke through the fog and landed on the mountain. With Shu Liguo's careful control, the sword energy penetrated the mountain, and layer of it fell off until the whole mountain disappeared, leaving only the cave without any walls. It was like a mortal house with its roof taken off. Sitting inside was a middle-aged man who was shocked into a trance by what had happened. Grandpa Shu is here. He is imposing, magnificent, unrivaled, handsome, and incomparable. Loud roars came from the cultivators beside Shu Liguo, and this really exuded an imposing aura. This awakened the middle-aged man who had been frightened into a trance. Obey Grandpa Shu and offer up everything that could be traded for thunder crystals. Disobey and Grandpa Shu will waste your cultivation and imprison you for life. The 2 core formation cultivators with particularly loud voices immediately roared. The middle-aged man stared dumbfoundedly at the throne. The throne was far too big and gave him a powerful pressure. He swallowed hard and didn't hesitate to respectfully clasp his hands. Junior will hand over everything. Shu Liguo laughed. He looked at the middle-aged man and smiled. Good. From now on, follow your Grandpa Shu. I want to ask you, where can I find female cultivators? The middle-aged man felt his scalp go numb under Shu Liguo's gaze, and he had a bad feeling, but he didn't know what to do. When he heard the question, he quickly said, if it's female cultivators, there is a place 5,000 kilometers away with a sect called the Thunder Celestial Sect. It's a sect filled with female cultivators, and sect master is extremely beautiful. However, her cultivation level is quite high. It is said she has some relationship with an inner member of the clan. The moment Shu Liguo heard beauty, his eyes lit up and he ignored the part about her cultivation level. He waved his hand and roared, lead the way, come with Grandpa Shu to steal people. Steal treasures. The group of people flew off into the distance. The giant throne was extremely eye-catching in the sun, and Shu Liguo's proud laughter could be heard. There was also the faint roars of almost people. On the other side, Big Red had also begun to collect like crazy. Big Red was only at the soul formation stage, so for him to complete the task, Wang Lin had given him a flying sword. This sword was ordinary, but it was extremely powerful for first-step cultivators. It allowed him to beat mid-stage soul formation cultivators, and even hold out for a while against late-stage soul formation cultivators. However, compared to Shu Liguo's arrogance, Big Red was much more cautious. Although he had taken some cultivators with him, he wasn't having a good time. However, he was more familiar with the Scatter Thunder clan and knew what could trade for more thunder crystals. He knew where many caves were located, and adding the pill and the sword Wang Lin had given him, he felt confident. He felt like his chance had come. As long as he could satisfy Wang Lin, perhaps he could get another pill. Thinking about this, Big Red became confident and excited, but he was also secretly on guard against Shu Liguo. He felt that this Shu Liguo was his arch-rival. Damn it, if Senior only had me beside him, it would be godsend for me. I didn't expect to meet this Shu Liguo, who also practices the invincible art. His cultivation level is higher than mine, and he is extremely shameless. He must have practiced the invincible art to reach his current cultivation level. However, I, Big Red, concede defeat, although my cultivation level isn't high enough. I have secretly researched the invincible art for hundreds of years and wasn't able to display all of it before. Now, with Shu Liguo here, I have to use 120% of my ability to battle him. The winner is still undecided. Big Red sneered as he brought the people with him and destroyed several caves. He was secretly preparing what to say to Wang Lin in his heart so he could use the invincible art at any moment. I, Big Red, have very high talent in the invincible art. I don't believe I can beat Shu Liguo. While Shu Liguo and Big Red were gathering, Wang Lin was sitting in the heavenly thunder sect with a jade before him. This jade contained a set of cultivation methods used by the Scatter Thunder clan. This cultivation method was called the Great Thunder Stamp. It allowed you to compress all the thunder in your body in exchange for a powerful explosive attack. However, this only worked with the help of the clan mark, and it could help one slowly awaken the clan mark when cultivated for a long time. Wang Lin was studying this cultivation method so he could understand the Scatter Thunder Clan's mark. He vaguely felt like learning this would be extremely important in order for him to absorb the Eternal Thunderbolt. The end of the year is here, brothers. Give a like for Leo. You are listening to a completely free audiobook on the Leo Audio YouTube channel. If you enjoy the story, please like the video to motivate the channel. Support Leo with a cup of coffee through the description link or on the screen. If you want to hear any other stories, just comment and let Leo know. Thank you very much for watching the video. Chapter 1334. A terrifying guess. With Wang Lin's powerful divine sense, it didn't take him too long to completely figure it out. Only thunder cultivators could learn this, and its power changed depending on the amount of thunder in one's body. The more thunder there was to compress, the more powerful it became. For example, Big Red could compress the thunder in his body 10 times and get a burst of power. This was common in the Scatter Thunder clan, but if this was in the inner realm on planet Suzaku, he would be one of the most powerful cultivators. However, this was only secondary. To really use the Great Thunder Stamp, one had to reach the second step. Then they could gather thunder from the void and cause the thunder in their body to compress 1,000 or even 10,000-fold. As a result, its power would be heaven-shaking. This was only one of the methods of controlling thunder. It was due to them studying ways of controlling thunder for tens of thousands of years, and finding many methods that even though they didn't have a third step. Cultivator, they were still one of the great clans in the ancient star system. Wang Lin withdrew his divine sense from the jade. His expression was calm, and he began to ponder. The strongest person in the Scatter Thunder clan is the ancestor who is at the 5th heaven's blight, and only one step from the 3rd step. Although this step is like the gap between heaven and earth, his strength is unquestionable. If he uses this spell, I wonder how many tens of thousands of times he could compress it. He might even be able to hold off 3rd step cultivators for a moment. While Wang Lin pondered, he memorized the Great Thunder Stamp. As his hands formed a seal, thunderous rumbles echoed and countless bolts of thunder appeared. They were like silver snakes, and they charged for his hand, forming a fist-sized ball of thunder. There were popping sounds coming from the ball of thunder, and it was being constantly compressed. 10-fold, 100-fold, 1,000-fold, 10,000-fold. In the blink of an eye, the ball of thunder had been compressed almost 30,000-fold. The ball of thunder had disappeared and become invisible to the naked eye. Only with your divine sense could you see the ball of thunder that had been compressed 30,000-fold in Wang Lin's hand. Although this body has been modified by me, at most it can only display up to soul formation strength. However, my origin soul is powerful, so it isn't limited by this body, and outsiders can perceive my origin soul. This is because my origin soul has merged with the thunder here, and is on the same level of existence as the Eternal Thunderbolt. Even if the Scatter Thunder Clan ancestor came, as long as he cultivates the Scatter Thunder Clan mark and the Eternal Thunderbolt, even with a higher cultivation level, his control over thunder can match mine. Wang Lin looked at the dust particle-sized ball of thunder and pondered. 30,000-fold of compression is the limit of this body. If I try to intensify it more, this body will immediately collapse. Wang Lin waved his right hand, and the dust particle formed by compressing the ball of thunder 30,000-fold silently disappeared. Big Red is a member of the Scatter Thunder clan, so there is no harm in him acting. As for Shu Li Guo, he is not a cultivator, but a sword spirit, so I'll let him be happy. The Scatter Thunder clan exists within the Thunder Lake, where non-clan members can enter at all, so they aren't on guard against outsiders. I don't have to be too low-key. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and he stopped thinking about this. He closed his eyes and began studying the Scatter Thunder Clan's mark. This Scatter Thunder Clan's marks were all extensions of the Eternal Thunderbolt, and had evolved from that power. To study the mark was like indirectly studying the Eternal Thunderbolt. The thunder mark Wang Lin was studying was Yufei's. Although Yufei had ripped out his mark, it was imprinted in his soul, so it was not something that could be destroyed by just ripping off the flesh. As Wang Lin studied it, he could feel how ancient and powerful the Eternal Thunderbolt was. Just this extension of the Eternal Thunderbolt already contained a large variety of thunder. And just this small mark contained a trace of thunder essence. Launch I. However, he couldn't absorb this thunder essence. This essence contained a will and seemed to be sleeping, but it was constantly absorbing from the members of the Scatter Thunder clan. Time slowly passed. Wang Lin had already been in the hall for more than a month. As he continued to research, he vaguely noticed something strange. His eyes slowly opened and revealed exhaustion, but there was a strange light within them. All members of the Scatter Thunder clan cultivate their mark for countless years, and as the mark awakens more, they obtain endless power and the power to control thunder. While the mark improves their cultivation, at the same time they are constantly giving their life force and thunder as offering to the Eternal Thunderbolt. This is very similar to Joss Flames. Wang Lin's eyes grew brighter and brighter. If the Eternal Thunderbolt is a third-step cultivator, then entire Scatter Thunder clan are like disciples for the Eternal Thunderbolt. These disciples all have the marks, and they are constantly cultivating and offering everything, but depending on how much they offer, they get varying cultivation levels in return. All of this is also very similar to the Scatter Thunder ranking in this clan. Wang Lin felt like he had found a heaven-shaking secret. He took a deep breath and muttered, "All the clans in the ancient star system have a mark. This mark isn't always between the eyebrows. The Blue Silk clan has blue hair, but it is also a mark. If all the other ancient star system clans are like the Scatter Thunder clan, then this ancient star system, could it be? Wang Lin's pupils shrank and he suddenly looked up. His gaze pierced through the hall and looked at the world. His gaze was extremely gloomy. Could it be that the ancient star system is a mysterious existence with unimaginable cultivation and a captive place created by it? For example, when Taoist Water and I battled, there was a world that he had created containing 2 billion disciples. There were also cultivation planets there, and to those disciples, Taoist Water was God. The more he guessed, the more his heart felt cold. But his gaze wasn't able to pierce the heavens and the fog surrounding the truth. This is all my speculation. Perhaps it is not as I thought, however. This means that the sealed realm formation is not as the Lord of the sealed realm had said. It wasn't placed there to simply trap the people of the inner realm. Also, the woman in silver said that Joss flames are poisonous, and a scam coupled with what Tao Master Blue Dream said about the sovereign being seriously injured by someone in the inner realm with a roar and fleeing in panic. Are all of these connected? What kind of secret shrouds the inner and outer realms? Also, what role did the ancient celestial realm play in all of this? The more Wang Lin thought about this, the more terrified he felt. A rare trembling arose in his mind. He took a deep breath and calmed down. He buried his speculation deep within his heart. No matter if it is true or false, I want to casually cultivate Joss flames. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and became filled with determination. Several days later, Big Red returned before Shu Liguo. Just as he returned to the sect, he immediately changed his expression to one full of excitement and respect. After hearing that Wang Lin was in closed-door cultivation, he immediately arrived before the hall and told everyone to leave. He stood outside the hall by himself and looked extremely vigilant, like he was a royal follower guarding his master. It was as if even if an ascendant cultivator came, they would have to step over his body to enter the hall. Not long after he made his pose, Wang Lin's summon echoed in his mind. He immediately became spirited and turned around. He first patted his clothes to dust his clean outfit and then walked into the hall with a flattering expression. The moment he entered, before he even saw Wang Lin, Big Red excitedly said, "Junior Big Red has gathered a large amount of items that can trade it for thunder crystals for Senior." As he spoke, he entered the main hall and touched his mark. The things he had collected over the past month flew out and formed a small mountain. He was spirited as he took a deep breath and excitedly said, "This little one hasn't seen Senior for several weeks. Now that I have seen Senior, I immediately feel refreshed. Just breathing the air that Senior has cultivated in has made me feel like my cultivation level has increased. I only hate that I can follow Senior at all times. However, doing Senior's bidding is a great honor for Big Red. I wish I could turn into many avatars so I could gather faster." Wang Lin's expression was neutral as he looked at Big Red. He waved his hand and put away everything that could be used to trade for thunder crystals. "Not bad. This is a reward for you." Wang Lin flicked his finger and a pill landed in Big Red's hand. Big Red lowered his head and was shaken. He couldn't cover the excitement as he quickly said, "It is this little one's honor to do things for Senior. Senior is as bright as the sun and moon. Even without the reward, this little one would still be pleased to help Senior. Senior, there are only few more days until the day to trade for Thunder Crystals. The Thunder Crystal Temple will open soon. Should we leave now to trade for some?" Wang Lin pondered a bit and then looked at Big Red with a smile that wasn't a smile before nodding. When Big Red saw Wang Lin agree, he became excited. He had deliberately chosen to come back before Shuliguo in order to have some time alone with Wang Lin to use his invincible art. He had also decided to take Wang Lin to the Thunder Crystal Temple, so that Shuliguo wouldn't find Wang Lin when he returned. I, Big Red, am about to begin my war with you. I don't believe I can beat you. As long as Senior accepts me, what a mere things to trade for Thunder Crystals. If I stick with Senior, I'll seriously gain a lot of benefits. From the looks of it, Senior is intending to get into the Scatter Thunder rankings. Once Senior rises, it will also be the day I make a name for myself. Perhaps there will be a place for Big Red in the Scatter Thunder clan. Big Red had ambition. This was his biggest difference from Shuliguo. The last 2 days of the month are upon us, wishing for the like button for the video. Right now, it's about doubling the likes for the video. Very grateful and will return the favor. Chapter 133. Upheaval in Haofen. 2. A wave of heat quickly spread throughout the dirt ball as the ball of fire smoothly entered it. However, at the exact same moment, the heaven-defying bead charged out, causing the ball of fire to pause and then turn away without any hesitation. But it was still too late. The heaven-defying bead ignored everything in its way and slammed into the ball of fire. The ball of fire let out a scream and began to struggle, but before it could struggle for long, it was absorbed by the heaven-defying bead. The leaves that were on the heaven-defying bead disappeared and were replaced by a ball of fire. Soon, many more balls of fire appeared on the heaven-defying bead. The ball of fire became dimmer and dimmer until it dissipated completely. At this moment, the 10th ball of fire appeared on the heaven-defying bead, causing it to let out a bright light that could be clearly seen even from outside the dirt ball. At this moment, with the disappearance of the ball of fire, the fire ring began to dim, and the red slivers that connected the ring of fire to the ball of fire broke. Wang Lin stared dumbfoundedly at what had happened. Not only him, all of the fire beasts were also completely stunned. They stood motionless in the cave, not knowing what to do at all. The heaven-defying bead quickly moved toward Wang Lin and retreated into his brow. Wang Lin didn't have time to check the bead as he moved his body and activated the attraction force technique. He carried the dirt ball up and into one of the tunnels. All of this happened in a very short period of time. It wasn't until Wang Lin's dirt ball left that the fire beasts realized what had happened. The 16 large fire beasts let out roars as they tore open the tunnel and chased after Wang Lin. Behind him, tens of thousands of fire beasts let out angry roars and chased him. Wang Lin's body was trapped inside the dirt ball as he moved through the lava. It has to be said that the lava was flowing down into the cave. Wang Lin was currently going against the current, so there was no way for him to move fast. But the fire beasts weren't slowed at all because they grew up in the lava. It could be said that they were fire spirits, meaning that the hotter it was, the faster they moved. Although Wang Lin didn't know what that ball of fire was, just the fact that it was able to complete the fire element for the heaven-defying bead was already a big enough shock. From the respect the beasts showed and how angry they had become, that ball of fire must have been very important to them. It was likely that the ball of fire was their king. Wang Lin's guess was not wrong. The fire beasts were born from the lava. It could be described as a fire spirit and was ranked fairly high. According to the Cultivation Union, they were universally called fire spirit beasts. From the moment of its birth, it had intelligence. It cultivated in the lava under Haofen for many years, and its cultivation was very powerful. In the countless years it had been alive, it had transformed 5 times. If it changes 9 times, then it can change from a spirit beast to a desolate beast, but after every transformation, it is in a weakened state for 500 years, unable to use any spiritual energy at all. In order to protect itself, every time it's about to transform, it spreads out its spiritual energy to speed up the growth of the next generation to protect itself. At the same time, as it transformed more and more, It learned that there was a way to shorten the time of weakness: devour cultivators. He didn't need to devour a lot, only a few cultivators every once in a while. So it used its offspring to catch cultivators that came into the volcano and fed them. To prevent the cultivators from harming the fire spirit, they would all be trapped in dirt. As a result, the fire spirit could leisurely enjoy its meal. But now, the weakened fire spirit itself was devoured instead, and the moment it disappeared, all of the fire beasts became angry. In their hearts, the fire spirit wasn't only their king, it was also their father. Their father was killed before them, how could they not be angry? Gradually they got closer and closer. One of the 16 fire beasts in the front opened its mouth and spat out fire that was almost pure white. Inside the purple lava, the white flame was very eye-catching. When it hit Wang Lin's dirt ball, the dirt ball immediately shrunk one size. Wang Lin bled everywhere as the white flame hit his dirt ball. His G-realm divine sense could only stop so much. He clenched his teeth and used even more spiritual energy to escape. The fire beasts destroyed everything in their path as they charged at Wang Lin. They got closer and closer until 8 fire beasts spat out white flames together. The moment the flame hit the dirt ball, Wang Lin's body shook and he charged out from inside it. His body was surrounded by his divine sense as he withstood the unbearable heat and charged out. After he came out, he stopped for a moment as the piece of metal appeared from his bag of holding and flew to under his feet. The piece of metal formed a rainbow and carried Wang Lin out from the top. Looking from the outside, one could see a completely black figure with clothes that were almost all burnt charge out of the mouth of the volcano. Behind him followed the 16 fire beasts. They chased him all the way to the entrance of the volcano. They roared at him in frustration but strangely didn't dare to follow him out. Only now did Wang Lin let out a breath of relief. He looked down and his scalp suddenly went numb. He saw that below the 16 fire beasts were countless triangular eyes looking up. Their eyes only had one point of interest, and that was him. Any one of those fire beasts could block his GI realm divine sense. This should be impossible, but if this was really true, then the only explanation was that these fire beasts didn't have souls or divine sense. Wang Lin's face was gloomy. He looked at the countless fire beasts below him and flew into the distance without a word. Gradually he became even more gloomy as along the way. Every time he saw a volcano, he would see fire beasts. These fire beasts at the mouths of volcanoes, starting at him with cold gazes. All of them seemed to be waiting for a command, and once the command was issued, they would all charge out of the volcanoes. Wang Lin's scalp felt numb as he rubbed his temple. He decided that he would get a map as soon as possible so he could leave Hofen and never come back. Thinking about that, he stopped moving and spread out his divine sense. After probing for a while, he changed directions and flew north. Although he didn't look at the volcanoes on the way anymore, he could still clearly see those cold gazes staring at him. At this moment, all of the nascent soul ancestors came out of their closed-door cultivation sessions. They, ones who stood at the top of the rank cultivation country, could clearly feel the waves of destructive energy brewing inside Hofen. This had happened many times before. This meant that the volcanoes inside Hofen were about to erupt. Every time this happened, they would go to the volcanoes they were each responsible for to seal them to prevent them from erupting. Because if they were to erupt, then it would be a great disaster for Hofen. Mortals might be able to run to another country without my resistance. Even the royal family would have the cultivators coming out to speak for them. After all, even though mortals were like ants to cultivators, there was a higher chance of finding disciples among the mortals if there were more of them. Mortals could go, but cultivators couldn't because if a large amount of cultivators were to go to another country, there would be a great war. In the cultivation world, it is a huge taboo for a cultivation country to migrate, because migration equates to a large amount of spiritual energy loss, chaos between all the sects, and a large shift in ownership of spirit stones and magic treasures. On planet Suzaku, there is a fixed number of cultivation countries. If the volcanoes were to